should be insulting to your intelligence, but for half the country, she's not. And the D.C. press corps will prop her up and take her seriously. So it's particularly pronounced with the description I'm providing, in my view, when you have a real problem where you can't just sort of offer the traditional platitudes about a particular policy issue. You've got the president, your boss, the principal here, Mr. 10%, who's put himself in a bit of a sticky wicket. So remember, the press briefing yesterday took place before the news came down that Biden aides had found another batch of classified documents at a different, heretofore unreported location.
Right.
So you'll enjoy this part of the Q&A.
Has there been any kind of audit that's been done of where there may be others that he doesn't know about?
I'm just not going to speak to this. I'm going to let the process continue. It's an ongoing process, and so I'm just not going to speak to this from here. It is more prudent and more appropriate for my colleagues at the White House Counsel.
Uh-huh. Somebody told her if they say, "Are you doing some comprehensive review?" Just refer to the legal counsel's office. Just refer everything to the legal counsel's office because we got this guy, the president, who is spent 6 years trafficking in influence, allowing his family members to traffic in his influence,
and make millions of dollars.
We don't know. I mean, now that we found these documents over by there at his fake think tank at the University of Pennsylvania, God knows where this guy was putting documents. So don't go out on a limb and say, we think we've got all the documents that are relevant here to turn over to the National Archives, because who knows? And then a few hours later, you get this disclosure, Biden aides find another batch of classified documents at a different location. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636-DA, turnkey.pro text line.
I mean, here's the thing. This is the way a little scandal becomes a big scandal, because she told Peter Doocy, we're working on this. This is what she told him.
Does it undercut the president's process?
Sorry, hold on.
How could anyone be that irresponsible? Isn't that what this president says about mishandling classified documents?
The president spoke to this personally. He spoke to this personally. He believes that classified documents and information should be taken seriously. He takes them seriously, and he was surprised to learn by any records had been. I disagree. Here's what happened once
Then why is there a Justice Department?
Well, let me explain to you the process. Here's what happened when his lawyers found out that the documents were there. They immediately turned them over to their archives.
But they were there in the first place.
Turned them over to the
they
archives.
did the right thing.
I'm not going to go into specifics, but what I am reiterating to you is what you heard from the president yourself, Peter, which is how he saw the process and how he respects and truly respects and takes this very seriously, and when he knew and how surprised he was by it, and the actions that the right actions that the lawyers took.
I mean, there's so many questions. Why were the lawyers cleaning out his office anyway? When he found out about this, did he just find out about it, or did he find out about it in November, a week before the midterm elections?
Well,
because he's supposed to be transparent, right?
First, despite his behavior, he respects and takes seriously classified information. Well, his behavior suggests otherwise. You could say the same thing about Trump. And I'm not saying he did anything illegal here yet. We don't know enough. Just like I'm reserving judgment until some additional questions are answered about Trump. But
at least Trump's stuff was in one location, though, that was secured.
But the logic of her answer. So let's say there is an underlying criminal act. Her logic is tantamount to saying Joe Biden robs a bank. His lawyers find out that he has cash from a bank robbery. Okay. They take that cash and they give it back to the bank. And then Karine Jean-Pierre comes out and says Joe Biden respects banking. He respects the banking industry.
That's a great
essentially-
analogy.
It's just the quality of the thinking is so in your face, and just nobody comments on it. That's what I just love. I love that you listen to an answer like that. The assembled White House press corps, most of the country, and you just I mean, you probably tune out, you lose consciousness. I get it, but I mean, listen to the quality of the arguments that are made, the explanations that are offered. She is so far over her skis and having to handle anything seriously. But this is, somebody who is the hand of the throne when it comes to our federal government. What a commentary. And I'm not saying there haven't been other doofuses that have been White House spokesbeings. There's been a lot of them. There's just
but
so
she's
many,
one of the worst ones
there are just
ever.
so many doofuses.
Right.
So many people who don't have sort of basic skill sets in positions of incredible influence and power. And it's just striking to me. It really is a kakistocracy. We are ruled by our lessers. And Karine Jean-Pierre is a case study in that. Now, something else, and one of the questions that we've been asking since this information came out, was asked by Ed O'Keefe. Oh, my God, a reporter for CBS News actually asked a pertinent question. Record the date and time. The question?
Yeah.
The timing of the disclosure.
The president was asked yesterday but did not answer this part of the question. Why didn't he or someone in the White House inform the American people when these documents were discovered on November 2nd? Did it have anything to do, because people are asking this part of it, did it have anything to do with the fact that the election was just a few days away?
Again, Ed, this is under review by the Department of Justice. It is literally under review right now. As I am talking to you, it is under review. So I'm not going to get beyond the process. I'm not going to get beyond what the president said.
Oh, I'm scared.
The process is not going right now. Just stop. Everybody freeze. There's a process going on. You can't tell me anything about the timing of the disclosure. It's a simple question. If you're honest, you have nothing to worry about with respect to the DOJ process, whatever that is, for Joe Biden. It certainly doesn't include raids, does it? Whatever that process is, the simple question is, you talk to counsel. How did they come upon these classified documents? Why were they looking in Biden's fake think tank office? What were they looking for? They came upon the documents when, they turned them over when, and then why wasn't
right
there
away, yeah.
why wasn't there and then why wasn't there disclosure to the public that this had occurred in the interest of transparency, in the interest of being proactively informative? Why did that not happen? That's not a legal question. That's not a process question. That's a truth question. And she hides behind process.
And the reason why she's hiding behind process is because the election was a week away. They couldn't let this get out. It's a White House cover-up. And where's the special prosecutor? Where's Merrick Garland? What's going on? I know he's appointed John Lausch here from the Northern District to investigate this. But 16 documents and counting now, guys. I mean, what is this other location? And what are the other documents?
Robin Morris here on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, that they wanted to keep a lid on this, and there's no way we would even know right now unless they knew they weren't able to contain it and they had to get out in front of it. Otherwise, we'd never know about this or the new documents.
Thanks for the call, Rob. Roger, Southside.
I was belly laughing, Dan, of the credit. You were giving these people, after you're done on radio, you need to go into comedy.
I really should.
Here we go once again. Lord of the Flies meets Animal Farm.
There's an idea for like an off-Broadway play. Actually, I kind of I like to work that out. Yeah.
Does the girl who is the White House spokeswoman? I can't say her name, and I won't. Does anybody know where she gets her wigs?
Oh, stop! No, don't
No,
go
wait,
there.
Wait a second.
On.
I'm going to be.
Roger,
nice
I'm wearing a wig.
Yes, Roger. Look
It's
at
too
Dan.
close to home.
So am I, but it's around the waist. But anyway, yeah, they're just going to. Somebody should do drink specials this weekend. What are the documents called? I mean, okay, they're eventually going to wind up giving this poor guy a vial of some poison, his dementia, and I mean, come on. If anybody thinks that Joe Biden has anything. And what about our friends like Susan Rice and Obama and all the rest of them? Like, they didn't know about anything going on.
Yeah, it's actually interesting.
Hillary just erased hers. She had 30,000 emails.
Thanks for the call, Roger. Yeah, actually, it's interesting, too. Susan Rice, the former NSA for Joe Obama, the first 2 terms, functionary in the first 2 terms, and a special advisor to the president on national security issues. Where is she? She doesn't want to get within a country mile of this. So you trot out Karine Jean-Pierre to be, a human
punching
target.
Yeah.
God, it's good stuff. We'll have more on this throughout the morning. But coming up at 5:38, Lori Lightfoot enlists the kiddies at CPS to start walking precincts. She needs all hands on deck. 5:38.
Oh, and then they responded not once, not twice, but 3 times. Oh, boy. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
37 degrees at 5:32. Heavy, dense fog in the Chicago area this morning. President Biden's lawyers have found a second batch of classified documents from Biden's time as vice president. Here's Fox's Lucas Tomlinson.
We're calling this a double standard. Recall President Biden accusing his predecessor, Donald Trump, for being, quote, irresponsible with his handling of classified information. And that was before a second batch was discovered. Now, President Biden said he was surprised when that first batch of classified material was discovered and said he was advised not to ask what's inside them.
I was briefed about this discovery and surprised to learn that there were any government records that were taken there.
The University of Pennsylvania received $30 million from China after the Penn Biden Center was announced in 2017, according to reports.
This comes after the White House acknowledged that lawyers found a small number of classified documents at an unused Biden office after leaving the Obama administration. A nurses' strike in New York City is over this morning. Nurses at 2 city hospitals have reached a tentative deal, ending a walkout that began with this.
We have been called unprofessional. We have been called disgusting. When we are only fighting to end the practices that we find disgusting here.
That's RN Michelle Gonzalez. As a result, 7,000 nurses are expected to return to work today. The death toll from California storms now up to 19. The rock world paying tribute to legendary guitarist Jeff Beck. You recognize that. It's from the Blow by Blow album. That's Freeway Jam. Stevie Wonder, by the way, playing keyboards on that track. Beck never reached the same commercial success as his contemporaries like Clapton and Jimmy Page, but he was an 8-time Grammy winner. He passed away Tuesday at age 78 after contracting bacterial meningitis. Mayor Lightfoot's re-election campaign facing a massive backlash for asking Chicago public school teachers to encourage their students to volunteer for her campaign in exchange for class credit. Prosecutors in a case involving former Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan plan to call current and former state lawmakers to testify in a related trial to begin in March. And a group of women are suing a suburban OBGYN and his former employer over allegations he cared for patients while drunk and committed medical and sexual battery. Most of the suits accuse Dr. Vernon Cannon of being intoxicated while performing patient exams. Wizards beat the Bulls on a last-second three-pointer, 100-97. Northwestern lost a back-and-forth battle at the buzzer with Rutgers, 65-62 in Evanston. The news, a service of the AM 560 Advantage, where membership has its privileges. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
My name is Vincent, and I've been in the field of nutrition and dietetics for 30 years. And what I realized as a nutritionist, I was trying to get all my fruits and vegetables in, but I would be so preoccupied with trying to do things, I would forget to eat. So all of a sudden, it's the end of the day, and I haven't had my fruits and vegetables. I think a lot of people are in that situation. I found Balance of Nature, and I looked at the ingredients and I thought, this is exactly what I need. And so after trying it for about a week, I'm not a morning person, but I started getting up early and I started feeling better because I had more energy. I think, of course, as a nutritionist, it's best to get all you can from your diet. But it wasn't until I started taking Balance of Nature that I started noticing a difference. So that's when I thought, okay, there's something about Balance of Nature that I need to tell the world about. So here I am.
Jumpstart your journey to better health for the new year and get $25 off plus a free fiber and spice when you use discount code Chicago.
Hi, it's Amy, and MyPillow is excited to bring you their biggest bedding sale ever. Get the Giza Dream bed sheets for as low as $29.98. A set of pillowcases for only $9.98. Folks, they look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep for me, which is crucial for my busy schedule. So trust me, these sheets are ridiculously comfy. Rejuvenate your bed with a MyPillow mattress topper for as low as $99.99. They also have blankets in a variety of sizes, colors, and styles. They even have blankets for your pets. Get duvets, quilts, down comforters, body pillows, bolster pillows, and so much more, all with the biggest discounts ever. MyPillow is also extending their money-back guarantee until March. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201. Use promo code Amy, and you'll get huge discounts on all MyPillow bedding products, including those amazing Giza Dream bed sheets for as low as $29.98 while quantities last. And don't forget to use promo code Amy for the best possible discounts available.
You don't just want healthy snacks, you need healthy snacks. A great snack should be nutritious, delicious, and portable. That's exactly what you'll get from Fueled by AF no-bake protein-packed nut butter bites. With favorite flavor combos like chocolate peanut butter, maple pecan, fudge brownie, and chocolate chip cookie dough, your whole family will be satisfied. Fueled by AF snacks are vegan, gluten-free, plant-based, high-protein snacks made right here in Chicagoland. More importantly, Fueled by AF fosters and cultivates a work culture of diversity and inclusion by employing the disabled. Every bite is made with love. Whether you're an athlete, need a quick bite before your next meeting, or on the run with kids, choose Fueled by AF protein bites and be sure to try the natural nut butter collection as well. Shop online at fueledbyafsnacks.com. That's fueledbyafsnacks.com. For a limited time, use promo code RADIO for 10% off your first order.
Nobody should have to pay for one-size-fits-all insurance coverage. Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance, so you only pay for what you need.
5:39, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of Dan and Amy 24/7. Listen now. DanandAmy247.com. Elgin, McLean Boulevard, both directions, north and southbound near Big Timber, will be shut down for the next couple of days. Hard barricades are installed because of a major gas leak yesterday that is in the process of being repaired. Inbound Bishop Ford jams up Stony Island feeder into the Dan Ryan. Ryan itself right now is running pretty much on time, 12 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Breezy, much colder, foggy this morning, drizzle this morning, then flurries this afternoon. Our high temp for the day right about now, 37. 37 at O'Hare, 36 Lakefront. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey.
This hourly segment is brought to you by In the Know with Wealth Management Group, hosted by Craig Bolanos. Heard Sunday mornings at 10.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
You know, this show isn't for everybody. If you're not interested in the truth, if you're not interested in having a conversation on the merits, then don't listen to this show.
On AM 560.
Because there's no place for you here.
The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Mayor's race in full swing. And by the way, we will be playing other hits from Jeff Beck. I'm glad Mike Scott memorialized Jeff Beck and offered a sampling of his music. But Jeff Beck, one of the great guitarists of the last 50 years unheralded in comparison to his contemporaries, as Mike mentioned, like Jimmy Page and Eric Clapton.
Yeah, he
John
died
Paul
from
Jones.
bacterial meningitis.
So anyway, you will be having more Jeff Beck bumper music you can
all morning long
enjoy. The Chicago mayor's race in full swing. February 28th is the primary, a reminder. And triple threat, speaking of diminutive identitarians who lack competence, as we were talking about KJP in the Biden White House.
Oh, boy.
We got triple threat here. Her campaign sent an email out to Chicago Public School teachers on Wednesday asking them to encourage their students to volunteer to help Lightfoot in her mayoral campaign and earn class credit in so doing.
Yeah, what she's asking for is 12 hours a week, Dan, to help Lightfoot's campaign. And they're looking for, enthusiastic, curious, and hardworking young people eager to help the mayor win this spring.
So it's an externship program. That's how the campaign termed it.
Okay.
What's the problem? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. I'm hearing a lot of moralizing from the Chicago Press Corps, which is always hilarious. The most amoral, if not outright immoral, gaggle of professionals, if you will, of any sector in the city, I would argue. But they're moralizing about this. Some ethical lines were crossed and so on and so forth. What's the problem?
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment. Well, first of all, there's a lot wrong here, but you cannot use public resources for campaign purposes.
What's the public resource?
They sent out emails to CPS.edu employees.
Yeah,
These are city worker. I mean,
yeah. How is that a public resource?
Well, you can't campaign on company time.
CPS employees were not campaigning on company time. They received an email
asking
from a
to recruit
campaign.
some students in your class who are eager, who are ready to go, and in exchange, asking the teachers to give them class credit.
They received an email.
Okay.
So they weren't campaigning on public time. So if they receive an unsolicited email from a campaign for a donation to their ed.edu email, is that a violation of some sort of ethical or campaign finance guidelines by the campaign? I don't think so. No. I'm not suggesting it's a good practice, but the hue and cry over this as compared to like the real systemic kleptocracy that's all around us, it's just laughable. This is the thing. This is the equivalent of a tax revolt over the sugar tax. We have an ethics revolt over an email from a campaign to teachers about an externship campaign. You can't recruit kids to work on campaigns? Of course you can. Is this the best way to do it? No, it is not. Is it is it a threat to our is it a threat to our feudalism? Because we don't have democracy in Chicago. Is it a threat to our feudalism? No, it is not.
But these are minor kids. These are kids under 18 that they're asking.
You can't. A kid under 18 can't volunteer in a campaign?
No, they can, but to ask their parents, not the teachers. And also, she's sending emails, or her deputy campaign manager, Megan Crane's her name, was sending emails to the enemy. But of course, they handed these emails over to Heather Sharon from WTTW because they're all supporting Brandon Johnson. And they're acting all upset. I know they should be more upset, yes, Dad, about the OIG report about grooming, sexual touching, raping people, raping students, even some in their own bedroom. I don't know how that teacher got in that kid's bedroom, but they're not. They're making to do about this.
As I said, and the Wilmette talking to Winnetka folks, notwithstanding, this is incompetence. That was my lead. Incompetence. Incompetence in government, incompetence in politics. No surprise, because Triple Threat is somebody who keeps her own counsel, and so she has sycophants around her. That's a bad practice. It's a bad practice when Trump does it. It's bad practice when Lori Lightfoot does it. It's bad. No true leader is only interested in yes men and yes women. They're interested in talent.
Agree.
And Triple Threat is not interested in talent. I know from people who were around her and are no longer, who are talented, that she keeps her own counsel. She's always right. She doesn't want to hear cognitive dissonance. And if you give it to her, then you're quickly on the outs. So this is how you get incompetent governance and incompetent political campaigning. It's incompetent. This is not the scandal of the decade. It's not even a scandal at all. It's just incompetence.
Well, also incompetent. Their first they gave 3 responses once they got busted, or this was made public, excuse me. Well, we're just trying to provide young people the opportunity to engage.
Mm-hmm.
Then the second one, then they contacted WTTW. Our second statement that they received said that the campaign would cease contact with CPS employees out of an abundance of caution.
Mm-hmm.
Then 2 hours later, they issued a third version of the statement saying that, these available sources are off limits, period.
Right. Yeah.
That's incompetent.
I agreed. Yeah. This sounds like sort of stream of consciousness. Lori Lightfoot says, well, just say this. All right, that's not working. Well, say this. Okay, let's just end this before it becomes a little bit of a brush fire, and let's just apologize and say we won't do it again and move on. So that's why you get 3 statements in 3 hours. Incompetence. These are incompetent people. I mean, it's striking. I mean, I hear from people like at Mayor Brown that she was a decent attorney. I mean, and I say decent. I mean, no big star, but decent. And of course, let's just be honest, checks boxes. I mean, she had the background as attorney, and I'm not saying she wasn't qualified. As I said, partners at Mayor Brown, some of them that I know, said, yeah, she was competent. She did fine, fine workmanlike job. But it also checks boxes for Mayor Brown, and that's obviously a big part of the perspective when it comes to being aligned with the identitarian mobs in Chicago. So, yeah, incompetence, but the hysterics. I mean, we'll talk to Roderick Sawyer about it a little bit later in the hour, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of piling on. But
well, they're saying that she broke the city government's ethics ordinance.
Which says what?
Which I don't even know what that is.
Well,
and that Lightfoot imposed, which took office in 2019.
So if there's something in there, I mean, I haven't, poured over the City of Chicago ethics ordinance, but I'm sure it's hysterical. I'm sure it would be a fun read. But
good beach read, yeah.
So maybe there's something in there that says campaigns cannot contact city employees with or public sector employees with via their public sector contact information or something like this. Yeah. Fine. But even if that's true, this is so minor. This is sort of a paper cut when limbs are being chopped off.
Just employees and their sister agencies are prohibited from engaging in work on behalf of political campaigns while being paid with taxpayer funds.
Yeah, but so you get an email. I mean, here's if I was interested. I'm a CPS teacher and I'm interested in helping Lori Lightfoot. Right. So I get this email. Then after school is over, I contact the Lightfoot campaign. I'm interested in doing this. So let me talk to my principal and see about setting up an externship program where kids can volunteer for any of the candidates or any candidates for office and earn the same credit for doing the same work for different candidates in different offices. And then would this be anything? That's nothing. That's not violative. So it was a ham-handed, incompetent way to do this, to do recruitment, because these are apparently she has incompetent operatives around them and not much adult oversight. What else is new? But I mean, the oh my God, has the ethical standard of Chicago been diminished because of this? Has our reputation as a city been tarnished?
I mean, political patronage has been going on at all levels of Illinois government. Remember when Dorothy Brown, pay $1 to my campaign, you can wear jeans on Friday?
Exactly.
And then there's Tom Zach, who just bust people that work for the Water Reclamation District to Will County, go door to door. I mean,
come on.
The history runs deep here.
We average, right up near an alderman a year that going to prison for the last 4 decades. I mean, can you just stop with all of this? It's just the Chicago Press Corps. This is another example. They think this is another example of them being a watchdog. You know what this is another example of? their preternatural dishonesty, the sacred cows that they protect. And Lori Lightfoot is no longer one of them, at least in some of the circles. Not all, but some of the circles. All of this. By the way, you can understand her confusion and her surprise by the reaction to some extent, since all the Chicago public school system is, and most of these government school systems are mission fields to indoctrinate and train political activists to be political activists. Isn't that the highest order, to become a political hack at an early age so you can be a community organizer when you get out of CPS? Or again, spin the dial and pick a suburban school district. These are totalitarian re-education centers, these K through 12 systems, so you can understand, well, wait a second, we want all these kids to be politically active, which means we want all them to be apparatchiks for the Democrat Socialists, so let's get them going. Isn't that the disposition of the culture? Right? No? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Ziff in Hyde Park.
Ziff.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Good. I miss you, Ziff.
I'm on the playing field. Still on the playing field. I ain't going nowhere.
Are you getting school credit for it?
Well, I don't get any school credit, but guess who implemented that rule, Dan? Amy's guy, Paul Vallis, years ago. He implemented a rule for students to do 40 hours community service to get credit.
Yeah, that's fine. Which is fine.
And Lightfoot's only asking for 12 hours. So.
The bottom line is, like,
if you're going to teach them to read or do math, they might as well get on a political campaign so maybe they can get one of those phony baloney no-show jobs in the water department. And what the hell? Right?
Well, they'll be assured to some after high school. But
exactly.
Amy, your guy is right there, Amy. Keep fighting for Paul. Paul is cutting into everybody's. He's cutting into everybody's piece, and I tell him only thing he needs is a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and he'll be right where he's at. He's right. He's not Chewy out of the box. Actually, from my numbers, what I'm seeing is Lightfoot, Wilson, Vallis right now.
All right, thanks for the call, Ziff.
And Dan, also, you said something yesterday that stuck with me about he says different things to different people on different radio shows.
Yeah.
He's not on the WCPT anymore because he came on this show. And he doesn't say different things at all on that show. He's focused on three things: crime, schools, school choice, which we like here at AM 560, and taxes.
Well, I wasn't just limiting that to public pronouncements. I was saying privately he plays that game, too. I know from private conversations. But, yeah. Well,
I trust him, and I think he'll be a strong leader. And I think he will change the culture in Chicago.
All right. Matt in Mount Greenwood, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. I think it'd be a great opportunity for these very well-educated young children to go out and get some fresh air and sunshine. And volunteer 12 hours a week after they study so hard all afternoon, after class. Nothing can be better for these kids, really. And, these are the safest streets in any big city in the country. So why not? I see nothing wrong with it. Have a good day.
Right.
I've got a credit. They could take the CTA to other neighborhoods, too, because that's safe, too.
Yeah, you get credit if you survive that ride.
Right.
Andy in Hinsdale.
So when Amy said that City Hall responded not once, not twice, but three times, it reminded me of that great song, Once, Twice, Three Times, Not a Lady. Because, Lori is no lady.
No.
That's a man, baby.
That is.
Got the biggest schlong in the city.
She's got you.
Right? Okay, one other thing.
What do you think of that?
Beck. One other thing on Jeff Beck. Beck, Page, Clapton, all those guys, they were all trained as kids in classical music. So they understood the real foundations of musical composition. That's why all that music is so timeless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good point. Thanks for the call, Andy. Frank in Arlington Heights.
You're watching Channel 11, WTTW, Chicago.
That's pretty good.
You're watching Channel 5, WMAQ TV, Chicago.
It's all the same.
I think
it's 10:30. Do you know where your children are?
You're the James Earl Jones of Chicago media, Frank.
I guess I am. My kids think I get a royalty for that. I do it for them, and they think when I talk about royalties and franchising, I said, yeah, I get royalties to this thing.
Yeah.
Do voiceover work.
Or class credit. Yeah. You get
I
years added to your pension.
I'm inspired here by Lightfoot's maneuver, so do all kinds of political work with the kids.
Yeah, but would you ask your students who are would you ever ask them to do political work? And
No. I mean, there is a law that, kids are supposed to get credit for doing service credit or doing something like this. I forget exactly what it is, but no, I don't ask kids to do political, there's no politics in the class. That's not what it's supposed to be. You're supposed to play devil's advocate too when kids, when you're discussing issues and so forth. I mean, I'll play the liberal sometimes. What's the view on this? Here's somebody else's view. I mean, that's what a good teacher's supposed to do.
That's so anachronistic, Frank. I mean, your time has passed you by. Get with the program, will you? Thanks for the call, Frank. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
The process Balance of Nature uses to turn whole fruits and vegetables into a powder preserves its natural color, smell, taste, and chemistry, making it unnecessary to add fortifiers or synthetic isolates of any kind. This is the biggest difference that separates Balance of Nature from any other supplement on the market. Make the switch from synthetic vitamins to whole fruits and vegetables.
Jumpstart your journey to better health for the new year and get $25 off plus a free fiber and spice when you use discount code CHICAGO.
My name is Noreen Bowser. I worried about what I was going to do once I retired. Was I going to be like my mom and dad and sit home and watch TV all afternoon? And I discovered Balance of Nature. I noticed energy level much improved, and I didn't feel the fatigue. I am 100% committed to Balance of Nature. It can only make your life better.
Jumpstart your journey to better health for the new year. For a limited time, go to balanceofnature.com and get $25 off plus a free fiber and spice when you use discount code CHICAGO.
Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson here. And if you're a small business owner or make the marketing or advertising decisions for your business, then listen up.
Our annual Food for the Poor campaign is underway, and this year we're helping to raise money for children and their families in Latin America and the Caribbean who are desperate for access to food.
Millions of people, including many children, are suffering because of food insecurity. They simply don't know where they will find their next meal.
Here's how your business can be part of the solution. Become a Food for the Poor business benefactor. Just make a $2,500 tax-deductible donation to Food for the Poor, and AM560 will give you 40 one-minute commercials to air right here on AM560 The Answer between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Friday at no additional cost to you.
And through the generosity of your business, you'll be helping to feed more than 70 children for a year.
To take advantage of this deal, just call Anjanette Natkowski at 847-472-8951 or go to 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor.
News, opinion, insight. This is AM 560, The Answer. WIND Chicago. Streaming at 560theanswer.com. On the AM 560 mobile app. Tune in, iHeart, and on Odyssey.
President Biden under even more scrutiny. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. As a second batch of classified documents are found, even his fellow Democrats want answers. Senator Mark Warner tells Fox.
We ought to be briefed in terms of, from an intelligence assessment, what were in these documents that then Vice President Biden had.
Sources tell Fox News that aides to the president actually discovered at least another batch of classified documents. The latest discovery comes after it was revealed on Monday that aides found other classified documents at a private office at the Biden Penn Center here in Washington, D.C.
Fox's Kevin Cork. Some Republicans want a special counsel to investigate. Like was appointed to probe the classified materials the FBI seized from former President Trump's Florida resort. GOP Congressman Mike Turner tells Fox.
It just really does underscore the concerns that we have of the abuse of power of the raid on Mar-a-Lago. The manner in which these two issues are handled is That contrast is very troubling.
There are more than 500 flight delays this morning, maybe a ripple effect from the FAA outage yesterday that grounded planes for hours, delaying more than 10,000 flights.
After a malfunction of their notice-to-air mission system. This is what alerts pilots of hazards and safety issues. In a tweet Wednesday night, the FAA said they'd preliminarily traced the issue to a damaged database file.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. Russia's replaced its lead general in the Ukraine invasion after Russia lost some ground in recent months amid Ukrainian counteroffensives. The U.S. insists a price cap imposed on Russian oil is hurting its economy, and more of that is coming.
In meetings across Europe this week, U.S. Treasury officials are thrashing out the details of the next set of sanctions due to come into effect next month. They'll include price limits on more products of the Russian oil industry. Some experts think this will have a double impact, damaging the Russian economy and increasing the global cost of oil.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. Next hour, we're going to get an update on inflation, expected to show it continues to get a bit tamer with a slower year-over-year increase last month. America's listening to Fox News. 37 degrees, 6:02 is our time on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Heavy, dense fog in the area this morning as Mayor Lightfoot's re-election campaign faces a major backlash for asking Chicago public school teachers to encourage their students to volunteer for her campaign in exchange for class credit. While the Lightfoot campaign initially denied wrongdoing, it later said it would stop contacting teachers, then released a new campaign ad.
Mayor Lightfoot is releasing a new campaign commercial with a focus on addressing violent crime in the city. A 30-second ad started running Tuesday, and it touted her investment in putting more officers on the streets and supporting anti-violence programs. Meanwhile, all 8 of Lightfoot's challengers plan to fire Police Superintendent David Brown if elected. 7 of them have revealed their own detailed crime-fighting plans. The election is February 28th. In the AM 560 The Answer newsroom, I'm Nikki Whaley.
An investigation is underway following a massive blaze at the Caris chemical plant in LaSalle. Blaze broke out yesterday morning, gutting the family-owned facility. One firefighter suffered minor injuries. Former Chicago police officer is avoiding jail time after admitting to firing at an unarmed man while off-duty in 2020. Joseph Cabrera was sentenced to 24 months probation yesterday. He will no longer be able to work as a police officer in Illinois. The 103rd General Assembly convenes for the first time, and Illinois lawmakers in Springfield are already forming plans. State Senator John Curran, selected to lead Republicans in that chamber, vowed to try and have the Senate work with each other rather than against each other.
In this spirit, Illinois is better served when our public policies are crafted from 2, not 1 participating parties. As legislators, I believe we can best respect and represent our principles by sharing them with the other side and taking the time to listen and learn why they are important to the constituencies we represent.
The Democrat Party in Illinois in the Senate holds a 40 to 19 member majority. The senators return to session today, but then they are off until January 24. There's another push to end Wisconsin's personal property tax. A pair of Republican lawmakers there say they have a new piece of legislation that would end the state's tax on certain things that small businesses buy. It's one of the most hated taxes in Wisconsin. Wizards beat the Bulls with a last-second three, 100-97. Northwestern Wildcats lost a back-and-forth battle to Rutgers on a last-second three, 65-62. The news, a service of the daily podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer and The Sean Thompson Show. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Brandon Tatum explains the strategy.
I think I have the diagnoses of how black people get tricked all the time by Democrats. The Democrats have not done anything that makes any sense for the black community. They don't care. They told you what you wanted to hear to take advantage of you. All they want is your vote. All they want is power and control. And they're going to do whatever they want to do after they get it.
The Officer Tatum Show. Weeknights at 7, right before Jay Sekulow at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. Your business and your money are in good hands with Signature Bank. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Nick Philippus, co-owner of Joe Donut and a proud customer of Signature Bank.
We're a locally owned artisan donut shop that focuses on chef-made small batch and craft donuts. We have 7 locations around the Chicagoland suburbs, with an 8th location coming soon. After opening our original stores in Glenview and Niles, we came to Signature Bank for financing for our new Mount Prospect location. From PPP and material delays in construction, Signature Bank was flexible and truly a banking partner that a small business like ours hadn't experienced before. Even their fraud department was able to stop a $30,000 fraudulent check from clearing our account. That allowed us to focus on selling donuts, knowing Signature Bank had our back.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
You've heard me discuss how my everyday aches and pains were affecting my daily life before I started taking Relief Factor. You've also heard me talk to you about how my friends and family have found relief from their aches and pains with Relief Factor. Well, let me tell you about Gary from California. Gary says, I cannot thank you enough. I am 62 years old and have just started taking Relief Factor. I've never felt better and will recommend Relief Factor to all my baby boomer friends. Well, thanks for writing, Gary. 3 weeks from now, you could be doing the things you enjoy doing. Your first step to living the life you love, free from aches and pains, could just be to order the 3-week Quick Start for only $19.95. After trying Relief Factor, over 500,000 people have gone on to order more. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF to find out more about this offer. That's ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. Live your best life and feel the difference with Relief Factor.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You're not required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-786-2300. 800-786-2300. That's 800-786-2300.
6:08. Check the roads in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, a service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency. Go to surroundchicago.com today. Inbound Edens, 15 minutes. Lake Cook Road to the junction. Kennedy inbound right now at 19 from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Stevenson, 23 from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan Express lanes jammed up inbound 43rd through 31st. There was an accident in the express lanes near 35th. That has been removed out of your way. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Fog this morning, spotty drizzle, flurries by afternoon, high 37. Snow shower tonight, low 28. Snow shower tomorrow, the high 33. Sunny Saturday, and the high at 39. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
37 at O'Hare. Next news, 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
That's Rod Stewart and Jeff Beck in 1985, their cover of Curtis Mayfield's classic, People Get Ready. So remembering Jeff Beck, one of the great guitarists of all time. And I thought our friend Andy from Hinsdale made a good point last hour about Jimmy Page and Eric Clapton and Jeff Beck, the great guitarist that were classically trained.
Yep.
And this is what separated them from their peers. So anyway, yeah. And I also love that Jeff Beck sort of went through different phases in his career too. From his time at the Yardbirds, with sort of fusion in the 70s, blues influences there, like Clapton. So anyway, I digress. I'm not a correspondent for Rolling Stone, but appreciator of great art, and
yes,
Jeff Beck was a great artist.
Guitarist.
There's an important new institute that has been rolled out, the Kaufman Institute, that will address maladies like myocarditis without asking any uncomfortable questions. They've got an ad. I think you should hear it. Perfect timing.
Are you or a loved one suffering from a medical coincidence? You want proper medical care, but you don't want people sniffing around asking a whole bunch of questions about what might be causing your problem. At the Kaufman Institute for Coincidence, we won't look into the cause of your heart or other problem. We'll just fix it. That's right. We promise to only look at your symptoms. We won't get all curious looking for causes, because that could get your employer or your doctor into some legal hot water. And nobody wants that. At Kaufman, we understand that coincidence is now the leading cause of death.
Hey, we've got another coincidence over here.
If we want to operate at the speed of science, there's no time for looking for causes. No pesky questions about drugs or vaccines you may have been given. At Kaufman, we specialize in the effects and leave the causes to the conspiracy theorists. And let's be honest, we know the cause anyway. It was a coincidence, right? For each new patient, Kaufman's talented team of doctors strap on their blinders and look directly at the problem area, usually the heart, just like the CDC recommends. Our main campus now treats myocarditis, blood clots, heart arrhythmia, stroke, heart attack, magnetic skin, difficulty breathing, full body blisters and burning, convulsions, kidney failure, memory loss, cancer, sudden death, and much, much more. Give your coincidence the attention it deserves, but not the wrong kind of attention. At Kaufman. Schedule your appointment today at kaufmancoincidence.com and receive a doctor's note with a real science-y sounding explanation to provide to your anti-vax friends, proving to them it was definitely not the vaccine that caused your coincidence. Kaufman, because coincidences happen pretty much all the time.
Uh-huh. I mean, you have to parody this response that we're getting to the incidence of sudden death. And again, not presuming to know. Every case has a specific set of facts, but it's the lack of curiosity. Everything's just a coincidence. We're not going to look at causes because we don't want to implicate anything that could be uncomfortable for anyone, particularly certain anyones, like in the pharmaceutical industry or in the federal government or your state and local governments for that matter. We've tried intermittently over the last 3 years. We haven't tried. We've done it intermittently over the last 3 years to raise this issue of adverse outcome, the VAERS system that the CDC operates, when there have been studies suggesting the heightened risk for myocarditis, particularly young men. We've brought that information to you for consideration.
And those elite athletes who are just dropping dead, not just in America, all around the world, that would have been vaccinated.
And again, that is not causation. The question is, why won't we look at causation? Examine if there are connections, even if it's not causal, if it's correlative, if there are heightened risks, because everything is about heightened risks. Everything is about trying to make an assessment based on comparing and contrasting risks, and every person has a different risk profile because they have different, physiognomy and biology. So, but the point here is not to make conclusions that are without foundation. It's to ask questions so you can get as much information as possible so people can make informed choices for themselves and for their kids. That's always been the position. And as the Kauffman Institute properly says facetiously, that sort of inquisitiveness is just conspiracy theorizing, and it's nothing of the sort.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also reach us on our text line. It's always open. 64636, typing DA, then a quick comment.
Yesterday, the DOD rescinded the vaccine mandate for the enlisted. On Monday, and I am not presuming to know, but I'm reporting an unusual occurrence.
Okay.
Air Force Academy cadet 3rd class Hunter Brown, who's an offensive lineman for the Air Force Academy's football team, on his way to his class from his dorm, he collapsed, and attempts to revive him were unsuccessful. 21-year-old sophomore. Now 6'1", 285. He's a big dude. Don't know his vaccination status. Presume, since he's at one of the service academies, that he's vaccinated.
Yeah,
don't know. I'm not making a connection. I don't know.
Well, they had to get vaccinated.
I know that. I don't know the cause of his death, and I'm not presuming to know.
Excess deaths in 2022 among the worst in 50 years. Can't ignore that anymore, can you?
Well, I don't know. Maybe you can. Concurrent with the DOD rescinding the COVID vax mandate on the enlisted, the Biden administration extended the public health emergency. Biden administration and our governor, Spalding, continue to be perfectly aligned.
Mm-hmm.
They declare the pandemic over, but the public health emergency persists.
Because there's always some new variant that might be right around the corner, and this one is XBB something. I know Jimmy Fallon sang about it, and I vomited.
Square the circle. Square the circle for me. COVID is over. The public health emergency persists. So are we going to be in a public health emergency then in perpetuity? Why don't you just say that? If you had your druthers, public health emergency is the new status quo for America because of the cash that we've tied to the designation of public health emergency.
They dropped the vaccine mandates at University of Illinois and weekly testing for students, finally. That happened last week.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yet we're still under emergency order. So when then there's a real emergency, Dan, is anybody going to trust them or believe them? Because I always get a flu shot every year. Didn't get a flu shot this year. I had the flu so horribly. It was 10 times worse than getting COVID the year before. And I didn't do it because I'm just so sick of them cramming vaccines down our throat. We'll come to your house. Each person in your house will get a $50 Visa gift card. Family of four, $200. We'll send you to Great America. I mean, they just threw all this stuff at us to get vaccinated. Sick. Like this marketing from a health department is just gone too far.
And again, the silencing of not even critics, of other
science.
Public health professionals, other epidemiologists, academic or practicing, other infectious disease experts who did not comport with the status quo. And our friend Alex Berenson and a couple of other outlets have picked up the story of Dr. Scott Gottlieb. Scott Gottlieb was Trump's FDA director for a time, as you may remember, and he became omnipresent on the Sunday talkies, particularly Face the Nation, as one of the go-to infectious disease experts. He's also on the board of Pfizer. He's a director there. He gets paid like $350,000 to be a director on the board of Pfizer.
Okay.
And that's fine, and it was disclosed, except when we find out that Dr. Scott Gottlieb was, again, acting as a conduit between pharma and social media to silence people who disagreed with his position, Pfizer's position, the combination of the two. I don't know. He went from being a reasonable, thoughtful guy as Trump's FDA director to a bit of a corporate shill. He tried to silence Dr. Brett Garrar, remember him, part of the COVID task force under Trump. And Garrar is a doctor, medical doctor. He actually followed Gottlieb briefly as the head of the FDA. But as Berenson details in his Substack, Garrar, who suggested there was some differentiation between those who needed to get vaxxed and those who didn't, like, for example, those who had gotten COVID and recovered and thus had natural immunity. And Gottlieb tried to get Garrar silenced on Twitter. Berenson writes, by suggesting some people might not need COVID vaccinations, the tweet by Garrar could raise questions about the shots. Besides being a former FDA commissioner, CNBC contributor, and a prominent voice on COVID public policy, Gottlieb was a senior board member at Pfizer. Half of the sales, half of its $81 billion in sales in 2021, Pfizer, COVID vaxes. Big number.
Nope. It's big money.
So Gottlieb emailed a top lobbyist in Twitter's Washington office, who is also Twitter's point of contact with the White House, and said the post by Garrar was corrosive. He worried it would, that's a quote, he worried it would end up going viral and driving news coverage, quote unquote. This is part of the Twitter files that have been released, and this is why Elon Musk has done the country an invaluable service by making all these files public. There's what you think you know, what you suspect could be going on. You see some of it that was able to make its way into the light of day despite the censorious efforts of the White House and corporate America, but nothing like we know now because of Elon Musk's publication of all of this information. And he tried to silence Gottlieb. He tried to silence Alex Berenson as well. And Alex Berenson ultimately, as we know, was knocked off of Twitter, only reestablished under Elon Musk. Glenn in Oak Brook, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, good morning. Dan, the public health emergency, which will last through perpetuity, is due to our government officials, both local and federal, having a level of incompetence that's unseen ever before.
Thanks for the call, Glenn. I wonder if it's a level of incompetence never seen before, or it's just so much power that the level of incompetence is felt more. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. When you have a modest amount of power, your incompetence or your mistakes hurt fewer people than when you're the same person and you have vast, almost unlimited money and power. And so here again, you want to take the money out of politics. You want to restore competence to government. One way to do it, the only way to do it, reduce the size and scope of government, reduce the reach so people are not straying outside of their lanes, so there is true accountability, so the impact is less when they inevitably make mistakes, right? Eliminate this bias we have, this fallacy that private vice becomes public virtue, to borrow from Ambrose Bierce. That jerk off next to you is all of a sudden you're better when he becomes a congressman. No, he is not. But you have to be in the business of vastly reducing the size and scope of government to even, and we can argue about this, I'm happy to have the argument with libertarians in some sort of symposium, but not here, to what, have sort of been traditionally considered public goods. You want to have that conversation about system change, then you're having a conversation that's on point. You want to talk about modest cuts on the margins of the alphabet soup of federal, state, local agencies. So many of them are redundant: federal EPA, state EPA, local green environmental. If you're not talking about that, then you're not serious about minimizing the impact of corruption and incompetence in government. You just have too few people with too much power. It is not diffused the way that our founders envisioned it in this federalist system. Eric in Rolling Meadows.
Hey, good morning, guys. It's amazing. It's bizarre world that there's more hate towards questioning the vaccine than where the COVID actually came from. It's bizarre world, clown world, isn't it?
It is. There are people that have made their bones and made their bed on being, unquestionably COVIDian. I mean, it is cult-like the new Marxists' allegiance to identitarianism. It is cult-like. This is their religion in part. It's an expression of their religious beliefs. And so to challenge it is heretical. And that's how you get treated, as a heretic. That's what you have to understand. Paul in Marengo.
And just like that, HIPAA is back on the menu.
All right, Paul. Mike in Union.
Yeah, it's funny. Where's the big slogan, science, science, science? We must follow the science. I haven't heard that anymore. And now when I do hear the word science, it's a joke. It should have the money symbol as the first letter when it comes to science. What a joke. Thanks, fellas.
Thanks for the call, Mike. David Winnetka.
Hey, good morning, guys. 3 parts to this call. So I was talking with my buddy the other day. He's just very innocent and no agenda. He doesn't understand anything that's going on in the world. It drives me nuts. But I was explaining that they have this thing called SAD, sudden adult death syndrome, and he goes, "Well, that's just as crazy as spontaneous combustion. Well, why don't they call it that?" The second part, a couple of days ago, when I was listening, Amy had mentioned the first dance that Jelly Belly and his wife had at that gala event.
Oh, and, yeah, looks like we made it.
Yeah. You guys, Dan, you said the first. Guess what? The first song was that they danced to, and without thought, Dan just automatically rifles up. Eat it. I was driving. I was laughing so hard. I mean, you almost inadvertently got me in a car accident, but it was awesome. And the third part, I've got a gal for you. I've got a gal. How do I get you guys?
Do tell. Speak slowly. Yes.
I'll tell you.
You must not like this person. Yeah.
No, she is edgy like you. She's super intelligent. She's a Lake Forest gal, but she's not Lake Forest-ish, if you know what I mean. And beautiful
really?
girl, Swedish.
Yeah.
She's Swedish. Oh, that's a must.
Give me a range of her net worth. I'm looking to cash out.
Yeah, she's not a money chick either. Yeah,
I'm kidding.
She's phenomenal.
I'm kidding.
But how do I get you guys in touch? Should I give?
Well, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
You know what? Well, hold on the
All right.
line, and then I'll get your email, and we
Take
can.
it easy.
Hey, I can be a Yenta.
Yeah.
Not me. David and I can work together.
A Yenta. Okay. All right. Oh, by the way, if I could just close, getting back to this matter at hand. Something else too that will be ignored, except perhaps by the Kaufman Institute. Although no, they're in the business of ignoring. They're codifying the public health zeitgeist. Harvard Medical Research.
Yeah.
A study published in the American Heart Association's journal. The spike antigen itself, the mRNA vax spike protein, may contribute to myocarditis in some adolescents and young adults.
Wow.
That was Harvard Medical Research. Yeah, probably a bunch of Trump voters, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Harvard Medical Research in the American Heart Association journal. The spike antigen itself, which is the mRNA vax spike protein, may contribute to myocarditis in some adolescents and young adults. Doesn't mean that kid from Air Force who tragically died, doesn't mean that this is a case for that. I don't know. But I go back, and this is what I suggest you challenge your COVIDian cultists. Do you want to understand, best as we can, the relative risks? Simple question. If you don't, that's fine. If you're just going to sort of walk blindly off a cliff, that's your approach to things, fine. But I think most people don't want to do that. Okay. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
If you're self-employed and purchase your own health insurance, I have some great news. From now until January 15th, the health insurance exchanges are open again. And even if you've never qualified for a health insurance subsidy before, you most likely will now. The American Rescue Plan expanded subsidy eligibility to millions of Americans who have never qualified before, even to those with high income levels. And this year, you can purchase a multi-state PPO policy, which includes access to Northwestern Medical Group, as well as other teaching hospitals around the nation. Employers who provide small group coverage also have new options, and so do seniors looking for Medicare supplement coverage. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Obamacare, then you need a local expert on your side. C. Stephen Tucker from HealthInsuranceMentors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 25-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than 10 years. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit HealthInsuranceMentors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551.
The following is a paid political announcement.
I'm Dr. Willie Wilson, and I approve this message.
2021 marked Chicago's deadliest year in a quarter century. Crimes and gang-related violence continue to increase year over year. We can stop this violent cycle by implementing trade schools for young adults, former inmates, and other Chicagoans to learn valuable skills, providing opportunity, education, and economic empowerment. Choose Dr. Willie Wilson as mayor so we can keep Chicago safe together.
I approve this message.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
One Illinois county sheriff says he will not enforce the assault weapon ban that Governor Jelly Belly recently signed into law. Should he or shouldn't he? Does one sanctuary deserve another? At 6:36.
And we'll take your phone calls, but now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
6:33, 37 degrees and heavy fog. And this morning, fallout from a systems glitch in the FAA's aviation network Wednesday is causing hundreds of more flight delays and cancellations today. The number of airlines, including American, Delta, and United, say they expect operations to get back to normal later today.
By the end of the day yesterday, we had 10,000 delays and thousands of cancellations, and that will continue through today as the airlines try to catch up.
All domestic flight departures were briefly halted yesterday. More than 7,000 New York City nurses are expected to return to work today. This after nurses at two main New York City hospitals reached a tentative contract deal overnight. The death toll in California up to 19 as the latest storm drenches a state that's already soaked. White House insists President Biden does take classified documents and information seriously.
As soon as his lawyers realized these documents were there, they did the right thing and immediately turned them over to the archives.
Karine Jean-Pierre, Republicans demanding more answers.
They think the law doesn't apply to them.
That's House Speaker Kevin McCarthy on more sensitive government records being found. Mayor Lightfoot's re-election campaign facing a backlash for asking Chicago public school teachers to encourage their students to volunteer for her campaign in exchange for class credit. Lightfoot's campaign initially denied wrongdoing and then later said it would stop contacting teachers. Beto O'Rourke has a new job, and it's a long way from Texas. The failed Democrat candidate for several seats in Texas, including governor, will now be teaching at the University of Chicago. One of the seminars will use Texas as a case study to talk about the future of democracy. Northwestern Wildcat football program looking into hazing allegations. Northwestern said in a statement it's not sure whether the allegations are valid, but it's taking the claims seriously. Wizards beat the Bulls on a last-second three, 100-97. The Northwestern Wildcats lost a back-and-forth battle with Rutgers in the final seconds, 65-62 in Evanston. The news, a service of the AM 560 mobile app. Download the AM 560 mobile app at 560theanswer.com/mobile. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Elevance Health Incorporated seeks engineers senior in Chicago, Illinois to deliver end-to-end application, system development and maintenance on complex multi-technology platforms. Apply at jobpostingtoday.com, reference number 50207. Once again, apply at jobpostingtoday.com, reference number 50207.
I've been a triathlete, a runner, a coach for the past 25 years, and I would take nothing less but balance of nature. As an athlete, if you don't eat right, your body can't heal, it can't recover. As a coach, I always recommend balance of nature. You feel better, race better, you recover better. It's researched, it's scientifically based. We know we should be doing it, and balance of nature makes it easy.
Jumpstart your journey to better health for the new year and get $25 off plus a free fiber and spice when you use discount code CHICAGO. The process Balance of Nature uses to turn whole fruits and vegetables into a powder preserves its natural color, smell, taste, and chemistry, making it unnecessary to add fortifiers or synthetic isolates of any kind. This is the biggest difference that separates Balance of Nature from any other supplement on the market. Make the switch from synthetic vitamins to whole fruits and vegetables. Jumpstart your journey to better health for the new year and get $25 off plus a free fiber and spice when you use discount code CHICAGO.
This is an important notice to all U.S. taxpayers. The IRS is giving away billions of dollars in tax savings through a federal program called the Fresh Start Initiative to aid delinquent taxpayers. This initiative was established for anyone facing financial hardship and unable to pay their back taxes. Qualifying and enrolling in this program will stop all collections, settle your delinquent tax problem, and even reduce what you owe by thousands of dollars. Call the hotline at People's Tax Relief to see if you qualify and get this free information by dialing 800-419-2387. If you have unfiled tax returns or cannot afford to pay your personal or business back taxes, you can now get the help you need. One simple phone call can resolve your tax problem and save you thousands of dollars. To see if you qualify and to get this important free information, call 800-419-2387. 800-419-2387. 800-419-2387.
6:38. Let's get an update on the roads in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center. This update is service of Staples stores. Staples Print and Marketing, committed to quality and perfect printing every time. Now at Staples, get $10 off your document printing and marketing materials. An order of $50 or more. Offer ends 2/11. See staples.com/stores/printing for details. Heavy dense fog cutting down on your visibility this morning, and the outbound Kennedy is a mess. 2 left lanes blocked with an accident outbound approaching Ohio. Right now 22 out to O'Hare, but your big delays are leaving downtown. Ike inbound 36, 390 to the old post office. Dan Ryan jammed up Stevenson into the circle, 21 minutes inbound from 95th. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Breezy, colder, fog with drizzle this morning, and then flurries this afternoon. High 37. 37 right now. Next news at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy from Woodstock to Wilsonville. An iron curtain has descended across the state of Illinois. Not exactly, but per the passage of the latest gun ban from the gun-banning Democrat Socialists, you've had some county sheriffs respond They're clearly talking to one another, and that's a fine thing. In Macoupin County, it's down in southern Illinois by St. Louis. Sean Cal is the Macoupin County Sheriff. He writes in this release to the public, as your sheriff, I wanted to give citizens of Macoupin County an update on the recent passage of HB 5471, also known as the Protect Illinois Communities Act. As your duly elected sheriff, my job and my office are sworn, in fact, to protect the citizens of Macoupin County. This is a job and responsibility I take with the utmost seriousness. Part of my duties that I accepted upon being sworn into office was to protect the rights provided to all of us in the Constitution. One of those enumerated rights is the right of the people to keep and bear arms, provided under the Second Amendment. The right to keep and bear arms for the defense of life, liberty, and property is regarded as an inalienable right by the people. I, among many others, believe that HB 5471 is a clear violation of the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution. Therefore, as the custodian of the jail and chief law enforcement official for Macoupin County, neither myself nor my office will be checking to ensure that lawful gun owners register their weapons with the state, nor will we be arresting or housing law-abiding individuals that have been arrested solely with noncompliance of this act. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636-DA, turnkey.pro text line. If the left can flout federal immigration law, can the right not flout state law that arguably, and I think persuasively, infringes upon Illinois residents' individual Second Amendment rights? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636-DA, turnkey.pro text line. Do you agree with sheriffs like Sean Kell in Macoupin County? Also, same letter put out yesterday by Sheriff Rob Tadelman in McHenry County. So from McHenry County all the way down to Macoupin County, you've got sheriffs saying we're not going to enforce this law that Governor Spalding signed the other day.
And it's already, he made a law with the stroke of that pen. And if you own one of these banned firearms, are you going to register your firearm with the state in 300 days? Because we know Darren Bailey, who is on the Senate floor, he's not doing it.
Friends, you've got to know that the actions that you're taking right now are tyrannous, as my colleague Senator Bryant suggested. You also must know that I and millions of other gun owners in this state will not comply.
And then Don Harmon responded, well, that I will see you in court. And he said, yes, you will.
Well, no, he won't, actually. But
I mean, they want you to. What's going to happen to it then if you don't sign, or if you don't register your weapon in 300 days? What are they going to do? Anybody address that aspect of this?
Again, this is so much press release politics. The idea that you have the inclination or the manpower to be going door to door to every FOID card holder in Illinois, asking if they have one of the weapons listed on the ban list, and then seizing it and or arresting them. That's not going to happen, but that's not the point. The point is, but there is a point about which people could be arrested under this. You're pulled over, there's a search of a car, nothing wrong except you have one of these prohibited weapons and they're not registered, and then you are charged. So there'll likely be cases that occur, but the larger question is, do you want sheriffs making these decisions any more than you want politicians, and I guess these are elected sheriffs, so they're politicians in part too, any more than you want politicians like Lightfoot, Preckwinkle, Pritzker making decisions about federal immigration law? That's my question. We can argue the constitutionality of the statute, and I think there is going to be litigation that challenges it, so it'll wind its way through the courts, and I'm glad there will be, and we'll support that. I'll support that. But the immediate question is, does one sanctuary designation deserve another?
Honestly, I don't know what's going to change. They really think mass shootings are going to stop. Nobody wants mass shootings. We understand that. But it's not going to stop. And nothing addressed in this bill, mental health issues. But I see your point,
understand.
yeah.
Of course, it is going to be ineffectual. It will do nothing. The federal assault weapon ban, this ban will do zero to curb the incidence of violent crime in Chicago and elsewhere. Particularly against the coming spike if the state Supreme Court does not declare Pritzker's purge law unconstitutional, which is a pending matter. But of course it will do nothing. But the question is, do you want this to be the approach? Politicians deciding what laws they will and will not enforce. Frank in Lamont.
Hey guys, good morning. You know, it's look at Kim Fox. State law said a retail theft over $150 was a felony, right? She came in and said, nope, not going to prosecute it. Got to be over $1,000, completely violating Illinois law. And she went and got reelected, didn't she? And now these fools go and come up with this. Jane Byrne did this in the early 80s. Only cops and security guards could have firearms in the city, and everybody had to register them. How's that working, Chicago? That's been over 40 years.
Oh, you had a 25-year gun ban in Chicago, and we had the highest homicide rate.
Thanks for
how
the
did
call,
that
Frank.
work?
Well, it doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Bad people don't follow the laws.
It actually has the opposite effect, right? It disarms some of the law-abiding who would otherwise protect themselves and makes them more vulnerable to predators. So no, it makes people less safe. But that's not the question. The question that people don't want to deal with, because it's just easier to deal with whether something is effective or not, is the rule of law question. This is why we have courts. When the legislature, the executive overreach, you have courts to adjudicate such an overreach. And this is how we now have Supreme Court jurisprudence that enshrines the Second Amendment as an individual right, thanks to people like Otis McDonald from Chicago. But is this how you want it to be done? Because the process does matter, right? Ends and means and ends. Do you want the ends to justify the means? I would argue you don't. And I would argue, even though I share the opinion of these county sheriffs that are saying they're not going to enforce it, that this is not the way to do it. This is not the way to do it. Chuck in Delavan, Wisconsin.
Hey, where I duck hunt down in Hennepin, he posted the same thing. The county sheriff down there. It wasn't worded exactly like that. But,
I'm pretty sure there won't be a county sheriff south of I-80 that is going to enforce this.
Come on.
Yeah, but I mean, he had it up and he put the letter out immediately. So anyway, I just wanted to tell you it was him too. So thank you very much.
Thanks for the call, Chuck. Got a text from 847. Refusing to enforce a law because it is unconstitutional is different than not enforcing a law you don't like. Well, sort of. Who gets to determine whether it's constitutional?
That's
the Macoupin County Sheriff or the McHenry County Sheriff? And again, I'm not criticizing these guys. I'm just using it as an example because they're among those that put out statements. Any sheriff. Do you want a county sheriff to be able to say, oh, I think this is constitutional, I think this is not? Is that within his power? No, it's not. Do you want Lori Lightfoot or Tony Preckwinkle to say, I declare that we're not going to recognize federal immigration law and thus we're not going to comply with federal immigration diktats or federal law enforcement that's in the area of immigration law? No, you don't. But that's what's happening. That's what happened and continues to happen. My point is to say that you do not want the rule of men and women, unilateral decisions made by elected officials, other than within their power. Because then it's just the rule of men, not the rule of law. And that's a society that descends into chaos. So you want to see what the rule of men looks like, you look at big cities like Chicago. You want to scale that? You want to use that as the paradigm? George, Will County.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Actually, you just made my point. What the sheriffs are doing right now is within the law, within their sworn duties as law enforcement officers to uphold the U.S. and in this state, the state constitution. Just because they create a law that is immoral or unjust doesn't mean that they have to enforce it. The immigration laws that they're doing at the federal level, or Prep Wrinkle, or whether you're talking about Lori Lightfoot, they have not done what it takes in order to change that. Illinois has fought this several times. You mentioned McDonald. There have been 3 other cases prior, and there'll be several after this. How many times do you have to go into court, especially in this state, which it will end up going all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court again? How many times do we have to go through that process, that same process that you're pushing, before you say enough is enough? I don't think it's society, devolving into chaos. The chaos is already here. This is the defense against the chaos to bring peace and order back.
Then why do we have a judicial branch?
Well, in Illinois, we have it because it's political. That's it.
Well, I mean, but okay. I mean, I hear what you're saying, George. I get the problem when you have a government that is one-sided and behaves in an arbitrary and capricious manner because they're completely politicized. They're not interested in the rule of law. My question is this the response to that sort of arbitrariness and capriciousness, or does that just further disintegrate the rule of law? And do you want to establish contrasts between people who do believe in the rule of law and co-equal branches of government and constitutional processes in addition to constitutional rights? Or do you just want to play tit for tat? I mean, I think there is some reflection over the notion that we could be them, they couldn't be us, and we should guard that difference jealously. I think it's too easy to say, you did this, so we're going to do it too. We didn't like when you did it, and you're not going to like when we did it. And then it's just a question of might makes right. Whoever has the most political power gets to impose their will, irrespective of the law. Now, the Safety Act, people are going to enforce that? Were judges and prosecutors going to enforce that if the Kankakee Circuit Court judge had not declared at least the pretrial detention piece of it unconstitutional? I'm not going to enforce it. We're not going to enforce it here in pick a county, any county. So our judges are going to still mandate bail for crimes that are that under the 1.0 version, you cannot ascribe bail. Right? We don't like it. We think it's unconstitutional. I don't like it. I think it's unconstitutional. So I decree. I don't think you want to go down that road. I mean, we're already down that road, but I don't think you want to further our travel in that direction. Isabel in Naperville. Hi, Isabel.
Isabel, are you there?
Isabel.
Hello. Oh. There she is. Oh,
hello?
I thought she was there.
Hello?
Is this on? Hello?
We'll try her again.
Okay.
Ron, Southside.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. Dan, agree with you 100%. I don't want sheriffs or elected officials arbitrarily choosing what laws that they are going to enforce. Now, my other thing is they're not going to enforce it anyway.
I understand.
You name
Tom Dart could add this to his plate.
And see, Ron, that's sort of my point. Is like you can make resource allocation decisions. What's our priority in our community? That's certainly within the purview of sheriff. You can also, if you're a sheriff, you can challenge this law on constitutional grounds, be part of litigation in that direction. The declaration that you're not going to enforce it because you've determined it's unconstitutional, even though I agree with you, it's not within your power to make such a declaration with respect to your duties. I'm sworn to uphold the Constitution. I understand, but you don't get to interpret the Constitution and apply that interpretation in contravention of laws that are duly passed by a legislature and signed by a governor. That's outside of your bounds.
You're heading toward total chaos. But you know what I would like them to do? There's so many laws that are on the books that are constitutional. You know, I used to take the red line to work and stuff, and last time I looked, selling drugs and smoking cigarettes and things. See, so that's the thing. You know, just coming up with these different laws that they're not going to enforce. Start enforcing some of the law that are constitutional. At least it'll help some of this chaos out here. But I agree with you 100%, Dan. You all have a great day.
Thanks for the call, Ron. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
If I could be you.
And you could be me? For just 1 hour.
If you could find a way.
To get inside each other's mind.
Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out. And for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Doug. Hey, listener. Welcome to Limu's Karaoke Lounge, where Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need, and the music never stops. Hit it!
There's an emu with a full-time job. His partner's Doug, but Limu's the heartthrob. Grubs and worms, that's what Limu eats. Gotta fuel up to save you money and hit the streets!
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Start your new year off right by finally losing that weight. Schedule your consultation with NJ Diet today. Their scientific approach will ensure that you lose the fat quickly and safely. NJ Diet uses your hair and saliva samples along with their bioenergetic scans to personalize natural solutions and supplements that balance your hormones, where the side effect is weight loss. You'll shed a contractually guaranteed 20 to 40 plus pounds in only 40 days. Then NJ Diet uses DNA testing to help you keep it off. NJ Diet is all natural, no shots, no hormones, no surgery, and no prepackaged foods. Full supervision is provided every step of the way, and you even get the doctor's personal email and phone number. With locations in Skokie and Oak Brook, or from anywhere with live online video consultations, lose 20 to 40 plus pounds in only 40 days. Call 855-5-NJ-DIET. That's 855-5-NJ-DIET. Or schedule your consult today at njdiet.com. That's njdiet.com, and lose the weight for good.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, we'll have Congressman Brian Steele joining us. And then later, an AED helped save the life of Damar Hamlin. We need more in public places and how you can help. But now let's go straight into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
We're hearing about the first televised debate in the Chicago mayoral race. We'll have details on that development coming up for you in just a moment as the Lightfoot campaign is under fire for asking CPS teachers for student volunteers. Massive fire is out in LaSalle at a chemical plant. A suburban OBGYN facing a lawsuit. We'll tell you why. The 103rd General Assembly has been inaugurated. Bulls fall in the final seconds. Blackhawks host the Avalanche, and Northwestern loses to Rutgers. Breezy, colder with heavy fog this morning. WIND, Chicago News Time, 7.
Even more classified documents found. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Found by President Biden's aides. A second batch after the first set were located in a Washington think tank office he used for a few years after he was vice president.
So I think there's just tons of questions we have.
Republican Congressman Jim Jordan just asked on Fox.
Where's the raid? Where's the pictures? Where's the special counsel? What's a batch? What's that mean? We know it's more than one. So is this 2 documents? Is this 2,000 documents? What's the location? Why was it lawyers doing the moving from the first location?
Jordan referenced special counsel. One was appointed in November to investigate former President Trump on several fronts, including the classified materials the FBI seized from his Florida resort. It's a lot better at airports, though nearly 600 more flights are delayed this morning as airlines still catch up from yesterday's computer outage that grounded planes for hours and delayed more than 10,000 flights.
The FAA says that flight system went down as a result of, quote, a damaged database file. It says there's no evidence of a cyber attack.
Fox Business Network's Radio Trimble at Chicago's O'Hare Airport. The picketing is over in New York City for 7,000 nurses, ending a 3-day strike at 2 hospitals that have agreed to pay raises and hire more nurses amid big staff shortages. Governor Kathy Hochul hailed the tentative agreement this morning.
It's the first time they've ever agreed to staffing ratios. So this agreement is historic. It's historic, and that's the progress, that's the breakthrough we're able to achieve.
We'll get an update on inflation later this hour, expected to show consumer prices are not spiking like they were in an historic surge last year.
Forecasts for the CPI say it may show year-over-year inflation for December drop down to 6.7%. compared to November when it was just over 7%. But that drop may not be enough to keep the Federal Reserve from raising interest rates at its meeting at the end of this month.
That's Fox's Jill Nato. America's listening to Fox News.
Heavy, dense fog this morning. 7:02 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. It's 38 right now, and Mayor Lightfoot's re-election campaign is facing a backlash for asking Chicago public school teachers to encourage their students to volunteer for her campaign in exchange for class credit. While the Lightfoot campaign initially denied wrongdoing, it later said it would stop contacting teachers. Also, the first televised debate involving 9 candidates running for mayor of Chicago scheduled for next week. The forum will be broadcast live on ABC 7 on January 19th. An investigation continues following a massive blaze at a chemical plant in LaSalle. The fire broke out yesterday morning at the Caris plant, gutting the family-owned facility. One firefighter suffered minor injuries. The 103rd General Assembly convenes for the first time in Springfield today. Democrats maintaining supermajorities, but incoming House Minority Leader Tony McCombie says she looks forward to trying to make an impact.
I know we're going to come up with some great ideas and some resolutions to some issues. Rather than being the party of no and denying fixes, we're going to give the people of Illinois something to talk about.
Democrat LaShawn Ford says bills dealing with people that have depression and mental health issues are at the top of his agenda. Police are searching for 4 men suspected of robbing 2 liquor stores in the Wicker Park neighborhood. Chicago police say the alleged offenders used sledgehammers to break out front windows and swipe tobacco, alcohol, and cash. Chicago State is considering adding a Division I football team. The injury-riddled Wizards beat the Bulls in D.C. on a last-second three-pointer, 100-97. Blackhawks take on Colorado later on tonight. The news, a service of the Salem Podcast Network. Here are the latest podcast episodes from Charlie Kirk, Trish Regan, many more. When you subscribe, free at salempodcastnetwork.com. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The Sean Thompson Show.
Does this country even represent itself? How it used to be? Have we become so used to fascism, so used to political whores and pimps and open and notorious bribery, that a scoundrel like Kevin McCarthy would even be considered, which goes to show you just how systemic the corruption is in this country.
The Sean Thompson Show, weekday afternoons at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
You've heard me discuss how my everyday aches and pains were affecting my daily life before I started taking Relief Factor. You've also heard me talk to you about how my friends and family have found relief from their aches and pains with Relief Factor. Well, let me tell you about Gary from California. Gary says, I cannot thank you enough. I am 62 years old and have just started taking Relief Factor. I've never felt better and will recommend Relief Factor to all my baby boomer friends. Well, thanks for writing, Gary. 3 weeks from now, you could be doing the things you enjoy doing. Your first step to living the life you love, free from aches and pains, could just be to order the 3-week Quick Start for only $19.95. After trying Relief Factor, over 500,000 people have gone on to order more. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF to find out more about this offer. That's ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. Live your best life and feel the difference with Relief Factor.
Hi, I'm Carrie. Welcome to my farm. My husband and I are living our dream. We always wanted to live on a farm. We love animals. I started taking Balance in Nature because good health is so important to me. I've seen tremendous improvement externally. My hair, my nails, my skin looks good, looks healthy. I feel stronger. I have a lot more energy. I wouldn't go a day without taking it.
Jumpstart your journey to better health for the new year and get $25 off plus a free fiber and spice when you use discount code CHICAGO. The process Balance of Nature uses to turn whole fruits and vegetables into a powder preserves its natural color, smell, taste, and chemistry, making it unnecessary to add fortifiers or synthetic isolates of any kind. This is the biggest difference that separates Balance of Nature from any other supplement on the market. Make the switch from synthetic vitamins to whole fruits and vegetables. Jumpstart your journey to better health for the new year and get $25 off plus a free fiber and spice when you use discount code CHICAGO.
Hello, I'm Garrett Hawkins, a family farmer raising corn and soybeans in Monroe County, Illinois. It might be hard to believe, but 96% of the farms in Illinois are owned and operated by family farmers just like me. Our job is to grow the healthiest, most affordable food around to feed my family and yours. Meet more farmers just like me at www.watchusgrow.org/corn.
A message from the Illinois Corn Marketing Board.
Hello, I'm Catherine Mentzer, a family farmer raising corn and soybeans in Christian County, Illinois. It might be hard to believe, but 96% of the farms in Illinois are owned and operated by family farmers just like me. Our job is to grow the healthiest, most affordable food around to feed my family and yours. Meet more farmers just like me at www.watchusgrow.org/corn.
A message from the Illinois Corn Marketing Board. Exercise more, lose 10 pounds. Tired of New Year's resolutions you can't keep? Here's one you can keep, saving more for retirement. If you're a small business owner, independent, professional, consultant, or self-employed individual, according to the IRS, you may be able to save up to $265,000 a year pre-tax. You may think, I already have a retirement plan. I can't put away that much each year for retirement. No, you can't. Not with a traditional retirement plan, but you can with a defined benefit plan. A defined benefit plan is IRS approved and a way for high-income earners to begin to catch up on their retirement savings pre-tax. We call it a retirement accelerator. Visit yourretirementaccelerator.com to download their guide to see if you might qualify. That's yourretirementaccelerator.com. This year, make a resolution you can keep. This advertisement is for informational purposes only and should not be relied on as financial advice. Any specific recommendations are provided only after understanding your entire financial situation.
America First with Sebastian Gorka. Today at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
7:09. Traffic is a service of the Daybreak Insider podcast, where you can subscribe free today at daybreakinsider.com. Eden's at 18 minutes. Lake Cook Road to the junction. Kennedy inbound 31 from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Ike inbound 30 minutes in from Manheim to the old post office. Stevenson 41 from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. The Bishop Ford and I-57 jamming into the Ryan merge, and the Ryan at 23 into the Burns Circle interchange. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Fog this morning, breezy, spotty drizzle, flurries by afternoon, high 37. Cloudy snow shower tonight, low 28. And then a snow shower for tomorrow, the high 33. Sunny Saturday, the high at 39. Plan with confidence. Check out AccuWeather.com. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
38 at O'Hare. Next news, 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Rod Stewart and Jeff Beck were such a great combination. His guitar riffing and Rod Stewart's voice were such nice compliments. That's Rod Stewart and Jeff Beck. I Ain't Superstitious. Remembering the great guitarist Jeff Beck this morning and his artistry after he passed away yesterday. I wanted to make a couple of postscript remarks about our interesting discussion on the state gun ban passed by the Democrat Socialists, signed by Governor Jelly Belly. Get texts like, when people get fed up, then this is what happens. They're tired of being pushed around. This is reality versus theory. Well, I understand the reality. I was describing where it leads. If you adopt the left's view that the ends justify the means. And in reality, there's a process to express a disagreement. And by the way, sheriffs are not the only elected officials that are sworn to uphold the state and federal constitution. And many elected officials who take those oaths of office do not. And this is why you have checks and balances, including on sheriffs. So here's the thing. This is the state that we collectively chose. Mm-hmm. And so you don't like the Democrat socialist dominance of this state? You don't like living in something that approximates a banana republic in terms of the model of governance? The feudal system in Chicago? You don't like the suburbs being taken over by Chardonnay Antifa types? Well, then do something about it. Because this is the choices we're making, and I am specifically here talking about those who understand what's at stake and still don't participate and provide all sorts of rationalizations and excuses. The Republican Party is awful, stipulated, and so I'm not participating. Well, you don't participate, like, for example, 330,000 Trump voters in 16 and in 20 who didn't show up in 2018, and many of them who didn't show up again in 2020 per the turnout, particularly south of I-80, the light turnout south of I-80, where all these sheriffs are revolting, and other conservatives like in McHenry County. And again, I agree with their position, but not their process. And for those that are fed up, why don't you behave like you're fed up, constructively, of course, through the processes that are available?
And Governor Pritzker saying this morning to police officers and sheriff's deputies, they will do their job or they won't be in their job.
Yeah, I mean, again, first, whatever. That's the typical bloviation. But the people who are saying it's fine if the sheriffs declare this thing unconstitutional, again, they've made enforcement an issue by putting themselves forward as arbiters of what's constitutional. If they had done nothing, said nothing, and just said, well, enforcing this gun ban is not the highest, best use of my limited resources with my officers, fine. There'd be no issue. They made it an issue by sending out press releases saying, I so decree this unconstitutional. Again, even though I agree with them, that's why you file suit and you challenge this in a court of law, just as we have done and prosecutors have done with the Safety Act. By the way, for those people who are rallying for these sheriffs, what do you say to Ron DeSantis in Florida when he fired that prosecutor who wouldn't enforce Florida law? And by the way, in Florida, the governor has the power to do that, state power to do that. What do you say? Was Ron DeSantis wrong? No, he was not. He has the power. The prosecutor said he's not going to enforce certain laws that were duly passed by the state legislature and the governor and signed by the governor in Florida. And so you don't want to enforce the law, then we're going to find somebody who does. Yeah, there is an importance of being intellectually consistent when it comes to something as important as the rule of law, substantive as well as procedural due process, the checks and balances we have. Just because you have politicians that have been elected in Illinois who don't believe in checks and balances, who don't respect either our state or our federal constitution, and as they've proved in so many instances, including most recently with Pritzker's purge law, doesn't mean that we should follow suit. Then we're just all going over the edge together. I don't want to go over the edge. Okay. Moving on, before we get to our friend Congressman Brian Stile. Yesterday, they trotted out a ill-equipped KJP, who the White House spokeshuman, who is just completely helpless. So I hate piling on. I don't hate it that much, though, not enough to not do it. And this was her response to the question of whether Joe Biden can be trusted with classified information.
How can President Biden be trusted moving forward with America's secrets?
Because his lawyers, his team did the right thing.
But he had a closet with classified
his
information
lawyers
in
did
it
the
that
right
they found. How did it get there?
Again.
Did the lawyers do
He
the
was
right
surprised that the records were there. He spoke to this
But they were
personally.
there.
He was surprised that the records were there, and when his lawyers found out and his team found out that they were there, they turned it over to their archives.
So that makes everything all right. Yeah,
It
it's okay. So he
doesn't even make any sense. So his lawyers did the right thing, but he did the wrong thing? Is that what you're saying?
That's what she's saying.
He's surprised by documents. So he had no involvement in selecting what documents would be taken and where they would be stored. No, he didn't know anything about that. Does that make sense? No, it doesn't make sense. Jonathan Turley, a law professor from George Washington U, on Biden's statement yesterday that KJP was trying to reimagine.
He said, the lawyers told me not to ask what the documents were. Well, I can understand a lawyer saying don't say anything because there's a potential criminal investigation. But there are two steps to this investigation. One is to secure the documents, which has occurred, and the second is to determine if there was any breach of security. For that, you need to know who saw the documents. And the chief witness is the president. You have to ask him, here are the documents in the box. Do you remember asking for these, working off these, showing these? The president just said I was briefed but told not to ask what the documents are.
Right, and then the collective Biden White House just hides behind process. We can't say anything, can't answer any questions with any sort of detail because there's a process. There's a process. Merrick Garland has launched a process, and so everybody has to shut up, even on things that are not really legal questions. For more on this and other matters, please be joined by Wisconsin Congressman Brian Stile, right over the Cheddar Curtain there in Kenosha. Brian, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
So your reaction to what we've heard from Biden on Tuesday and KJP yesterday, I suppose, about these classified documents after a second trove of classified documents was found by somebody somewhere, and we don't know much about that either.
Yeah, this is the continued hypocrisy and double standard of the Biden administration. It's finally, the good news is there's going to be a check on the Biden administration now that Republicans have taken the gavel away from Nancy Pelosi. So we can actually be forcing this administration to answer the tough questions. And one of those should be, why did they know about this days before the election, but of course bury that and hide that from the American people until after the election? That sure looks like political purposes that they're doing that for.
Well, we wouldn't have even known about this at all, about the documents that were locked in his closet at the Penn, Biden think tank center, unless a reporter on Monday went up and was, the information was leaked to them about this. And that's how we found documents came from and who had them in what office.
I think you're going to get a lot of answers going forward. But this is what the Biden administration has been doing for over 2 years. They've been doing all sorts of stuff, and the mainstream media, the legacy media, has been giving them a pass. And Nancy Pelosi has been covering for them and not forcing accountability of our federal government. That time changes now. We're finally going to have the opportunity here to hold this government accountable, to hold the Biden administration accountable, to ask the questions that you're asking and others, such as the botched evacuation of Afghanistan, the origin of COVID, etc. And we need to get those answers to the American people.
Talk to me about what you think is doable from a Republican-controlled House with obviously Democrats in control of the other chamber and Biden in the White House. I mean, even is it really a vision, establishing a vision and a brand for the Republican Party going into 2024 on the salient issues of the day, combined with the possibility of unearthing some more truth when it comes to FBI conduct, when it comes to CDC conduct? Because, I mean, in reality, you're not going to be able to substantially change the direction of the country. You're more setting the table for the possibility of being able to do so depending on what happens in 24. Is that fair?
There's that, but there are some changes that I do think will be able to be made this year. If you remember, under 2 years of Democratic one-party control, we continued to see trillions of dollars of new government spending, bill after bill, enlarging the size, scale, and scope of the federal government. Those types of massive new government spending programs, those are dead on arrival in a Republican House of Representatives. I also think on energy policy, if we push really hard and we sell this to the American people, we can end some aspects of the war on energy for the Biden administration. You got to remember, President Biden went and begged for oil in Saudi Arabia. He allowed leases in Venezuela. He realizes there is a problem. We just now need to get President Biden to actually act in the United States of America, in North Dakota, in West Texas. And if we do that, we can have a dramatic and impactful effort here to reduce inflation that's clobbering American families.
So I won't have to turn in my gas-powered stove? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not offering to you that this is going to be perfect. Biden is not going to give up on pushing forward a Green New Deal, but we are going to have an opportunity to call to task individuals in the administration to slow down their ability to drive forward that agenda. And if we get the American people understanding how draconian the energy policies have been from the Biden administration, maybe we can get the Biden administration to actually unleash American energy rather than going to Saudi Arabia and to Venezuela.
Congressman Style, do you agree with those 20 McCarthy holdouts that they served a purpose?
At the end of the day, what we got are rules that allow us to move forward a conservative agenda. Imagine having 222 of your family members over for Thanksgiving, and the first order of business is to determine who's going to carve the turkey. That's really what we had, was a large family conversation. Republicans just do it in public. Nancy Pelosi and Democrats had the same conversations about how they were going to spend us to oblivion. They did it behind closed doors. We had the conversation on how we're going to try to cut spending, save the country. We did it on the House floor. I think at the end of the day, the rules that we're going to operate under set us up for success, culturally align us to say we're going to make difficult decisions to actually try to get out and save this country, and nothing is more important than stopping the wildly reckless spending that we've seen over the past 2 years.
Speaking of spending, unchecked spending, I won't call it reckless, but I will call it unchecked at this point. What about with respect to aid to Ukraine? Is there going to be a demand for a little bit better accounting as it pertains to where the money that American taxpayers are providing is actually being spent? What impacts it's had? Is any being kleptocrated out of the system? Those sorts of questions that when people ask them, including some Republicans, they're sort of ridiculed as Putin flax or something like that, when of course that's not the case. And there's no, from my perspective, there is no opposition to supporting Ukrainian people pushing back Putin. I'm not interested in advancing the interests of some KGB communist any more than any other Republican is. But people, including Republicans, smear people who ask any questions about this unchecked aid. And I wonder if there's going to be a little bit more measure from House Republicans on that.
Well, I think you're going to see an accountability of how every tax dollar is spent. We should review and analyze how all of your money is being spent here in Washington. And what we've seen before is all of these spending bills were drafted by Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and Joe Biden. For the first time in 2 years, that process ends. And now we have Republicans with a seat at the table in accountability of how your tax dollars are spent, not only as it relates to foreign policy such as Ukraine, but across the board, energy policy, et cetera. We need to be accountable to the American people, and that starts now that Republicans took away the gavel from Speaker Pelosi.
He is Congressman Brian Stile, Republican from the 1st District in Wisconsin, right there over the Cheddar Curtain in Kenosha area. Brian, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Exercise more, lose 10 pounds. Tired of New Year's resolutions you can't keep? Here's one you can keep, saving more for retirement. If you're a small business owner, independent, professional, consultant, or self-employed individual, according to the IRS, you may be able to save up to $265,000 a year pre-tax. You may think, I already have a retirement plan. I can't put away that much each year for retirement. No, you can't. Not with a traditional retirement plan, but you can with a defined benefit plan. A defined benefit plan is IRS approved and a way for high-income earners to begin to catch up on their retirement savings pre-tax. We call it a retirement accelerator. Visit yourretirementaccelerator.com to download their guide to see if you might qualify. That's yourretirementaccelerator.com. This year, make a resolution you can keep. This advertisement is for informational purposes only and should not be relied on as financial advice. Any specific recommendations are provided only after understanding your entire financial situation.
All right, no one can predict what's on the horizon for 2023. Shaky economy, global unrest, rising inflation. Who knows what's next? There is one thing you can count on, and that's the peace of mind Turnkey Solutions offers your business. Protect and prepare your company for 2023 with Turnkey's all-in IT support package. This is Turnkey's best and most popular plan for small businesses. It's all-inclusive and priced to save you thousands. Yes. And now for a limited time, Turnkey will pay for your first month of all-in support. That's the first month at no cost, worth up to $3,000. How's that to help fight increased prices? All-in is a no-worries program and includes all new hardware, advanced firewall protection, 24/7 security, US-based support, and backup of all your devices on the cloud. The team at Turnkey are small business champions who share your same values. Focus on your business and leave the technical stuff to the pros with Turnkey. Start a conversation today by visiting turnkey.pro. That's turnkey.pro.
You don't just want healthy snacks, you need healthy snacks. A great snack should be nutritious, delicious, and portable. That's exactly what you'll get from Fueled by AF No-Bake Protein Pack Nut Butter Bites. With favorite flavor combos like chocolate peanut butter, maple pecan, fudge brownie, and chocolate chip cookie dough, your whole family will be satisfied. Fueled by AF snacks are vegan, gluten-free, plant-based, high-protein snacks made right here in Chicagoland. More importantly, Fueled by AF fosters and cultivates a work culture of diversity and inclusion by employing the disabled. Every bite is made with love. Whether you're an athlete, need a quick bite before your next meeting, or on the run with kids, choose Fueled by AF Protein Bites and be sure to try the natural nut butter collection as well. Shop online at fueledbyafsnacks.com. That's fueledbyafsnacks.com. For a limited time, use promo code RADIO for 10% off your first order.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, one of the standing rules on this show.
Yeah.
We will play a clip of any celebrity if it includes an invocation of their penis. And that, of course, goes for men or women.
Okay. Oh, yeah, because, don't forget our mayor.
So that welfare queen that you like, Harry, he used to be royalty over there in the UK.
Yeah, yes.
This is Prince Harry, Diana's kid, reading from his new book that he's been hawking on television shows around the country and so forth. Take a listen.
My penis was oscillating between extremely sensitive and borderline traumatized. The last place I wanted to be was Frostnipistan. I'd been trying some home remedies, including one recommended by a friend. She'd urged me to apply Elizabeth Arden cream. My mum used that on her lips. You want me to put that on my todger? It works, Harry. Trust me. I found a tube, and the minute I opened it, the smell transported me through time. I felt as if my mother was right there in the room. Then I took a smidge and applied it down there.
Calling Sigmund Freud.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Maybe Carl Jung too, but maybe the team.
Boy.
The best part about that,
There is no good part about that. Stop talking.
A euphemism for your penis is todger.
What
That's
is
so very British. I don't know what
Is it British to todger?
Yeah.
Do you put your todger with the T?
So you heard it there from former Prince Harry that if for some reason your penis is oscillating, you'd use a little bit of that Elizabeth Arden cream.
I know what I'm getting you for Christmas.
Yeah, absolutely. Birthday's just around the corner.
Oh, that's right. In April, I'm going to order you some right now. It'll go along with the Gwyneth Paltrow vagina candle that I bought you that I took back for myself. Thank you.
Yeah, you can understand why Harry and his wife are so feted in Hollywood, talking about their oscillating todgers.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, Damar Hamlin's out of the hospital, but he was saved because of an AED. How you can help get more of those in public places. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
38 degrees. We've had some drizzle this morning, and there is heavy, dense fog with visibilities cut down. President Biden's lawyers have found a second batch of classified documents.
Some are calling this a double standard. Recall President Biden accusing his predecessor, Donald Trump, for being, quote, irresponsible with his handling of classified information. And that was before a second batch was discovered. Now, President Biden said he was surprised when that first batch of classified material was discovered and said he was advised not to ask what's inside them.
I was briefed about this discovery and surprised to learn that there were any government records that were taken there.
The University of Pennsylvania received $30 million from China after the Penn Biden Center was announced in 2017, according to reports.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson. A nurses' strike is over in New York City. Nurses at 2 hospitals have reached a tentative agreement ending a strike that started with this.
We have been called unprofessional. We have been called disgusting. When we are only fighting to end the practices that we find disgusting here.
RN Michelle Gonzalez. The death toll from California storms is now up to 19. The rock world paying tribute to legendary guitarist Jeff Beck. Work from the Blow by Blow album. Beck working with Stevie Wonder, playing keyboards on that track. It's Freeway Jam. Beck never reached the same commercial heights as Eric Clapton or Led Zeppelin's Jimmy Page, his contemporaries, but he was an 8-time Grammy winner. He passed away at age 78 after contracting bacterial meningitis. Mayor Lightfoot's re-election campaign facing backlash for asking Chicago public school teachers to encourage their students to volunteer for her campaign in exchange for class credit. Lightfoot's campaign initially denied wrongdoing and later said it would stop contacting teachers. Also, the first televised debate involving 9 candidates running for mayor of Chicago is scheduled for next week. It'll be on ABC 7 on January 19. Former Chicago police officer is avoiding jail time after admitting to firing at an unarmed man while off duty in 2020. Joseph Cabrera was sentenced to 24 months of probation. Chicago sports. Wizards beat the Bulls on a last-second 3, 100-97. Zach LaVine, 38, in the loss. Northwestern lost in a back-and-forth battle in Evanston. Rutgers with the win, 65-62. And USC announced overnight that Charles White died Wednesday at the age of 64. White still the Trojans' all-time leading rusher with over 6,200 yards. He won the Heisman Trophy in 1979, played 8 seasons in the NFL, died of cancer in a California town. The news, a service of the Daybreak Insider podcast, the latest reporting and analysis of the day's most important stories each weekday morning on the Daybreak Insider podcast. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher says we're jumping to conclusions again.
And right away, people were taking to social media, people are dying suddenly, don't get the vaccine. They immediately linked this cardiac event to a vaccine, the COVID vaccine, without one shred of evidence that was the case.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Did you know the most important election is coming up this spring? I'm talking about the April 4th, 2023 nonpartisan local school board elections. This is Shannon Adcock with Awake Illinois, a common-sense grassroots organization that's been boldly advocating for Illinois children and communities since 2021. The reason these school board elections are so important is because the majority of your tax dollars are funding a government system of schooling that is failing our kids. Moms and dads deserve to be respected partners in their children's education, and every stakeholder in our community should be focused on the academic growth of the students in our public schools. Yet parents have not been given a seat at the table, while activism has replaced academics. Illinois students need you to be involved in these elections to put their future success first. You're invited to join us on Saturday, January 14th in Itasca for our upcoming advocate workshop where you'll be empowered on the topics of education, parental rights, and the April 4th school board elections. Register for this amazing event at awakeil.com. Awake Illinois nonprofit launched in 2021 to give parents and communities a nonpartisan platform to advocate. With over 30 chapters statewide, our efforts are working. Top issue currently includes education. According to WirePoints, less than 40% of all students, more than 760,000 kids in Illinois, were proficient in reading or math in 2019. Again, this was 2019. Then, the 2020 failed pandemic policies began. Perhaps equity plans, restorative justice curricula, social-emotional learning, gender lessons, etc. are not working. Where are the academics? Parents are extremely worried about the radical comprehensive sex ed that is endorsed by the Illinois State Board of Education. Awake Illinois provides resources and networks for Illinois parents and taxpayers to be unwavering advocates for those who cannot advocate for themselves, our children. Together we can move our communities forward, but we need you. Join the movement at awakeil.com. That's awakeil.com. This is Shannon Adcock for Awake Illinois, and they cannot cancel us.
Hi, I'm Carrie. Welcome to my farm. My husband and I are living our dream. We always wanted to live on a farm. We love animals. I started taking Balance in Nature because good health is so important to me. I've seen tremendous improvement externally. My hair, my nails, my skin looks good, looks healthy. I feel stronger. I have a lot more energy. I wouldn't go a day without taking it.
Jumpstart your journey to better health for the new year and get $25 off plus a free fiber and spice when you use discount code CHICAGO. The process Balance of Nature uses to turn whole fruits and vegetables into a powder preserves its natural color, smell, taste, and chemistry, making it unnecessary to add fortifiers or synthetic isolates of any kind. This is the biggest difference that separates Balance of Nature from any other supplement on the market. Make the switch from synthetic vitamins to whole fruits and vegetables. Jumpstart your journey to better health for the new year and get $25 off plus a free fiber and spice when you use discount code CHICAGO.
You don't need special gadgets to be a hero. With unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase everywhere, the Capital One Quicksilver Card makes you the hero of every purchase. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
7:38 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of the AM 560 Advantage. Join today, 560theanswer.com/join. Tri-State Tollway northbound. Jam solid St. Charles all the way up to before Irving Park Road due to an earlier vehicle fire. That is also causing problems on the southbound side of the Tri-State between LaGrange Road and further south due to gapers from that earlier incident. Dan Ryan inbound 28 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Eisenhower, travel times climbing now over an hour. 390 to the old post office and an accident on the inbound Ike at Manheim Road. Kennedy inbound 44 O'Hare to the Burns Circle interchange. Edens at 24 Lake Cook Road into the junction. And Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Breezy today, much colder. We'll have fog this morning and spotty drizzle, turning to flurries by the afternoon and a high of 37. It's 38 right now. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. I got a friend who is in the defibrillator business. He's actually one of the leading providers for AEDs for the marine industry, Bert Catoni. He's got this company called Cardiac Rescue. And just perusing some of the data here, a sudden cardiac arrest, SCA, sudden cardiac arrest, the most preventable cause of death in the country.
Really?
And this number surprised me. Sudden cardiac arrest kills more than 400,000 people in the United States each year. It can strike anyone, anywhere, anytime, in most cases without warning. Without treatment, victims only have minutes to live. With quick response, the condition is readily treatable with survival rates as high as 90%. But when the equipment is not nearby you and you have to rely on emergency services and you've only got minutes, rates are 2 to 5%, survival rates 2 to 5%. So it could be as high as 90% if the equipment's on site and obviously somebody knows how to use it. But if that equipment isn't there, survival rates 2 to 5%. So talking about the literally hundreds of thousands of preventable deaths with this technology. And
that's why Damar Hamlin was saved. I mean, if he was going to have a cardiac arrest, that was the place to be. You had emergency responders right there on the ready and with an AED to revive him not once but twice.
So we wanted to talk a little bit more about that. I mean, with the money we spend on K through 12 education at the collegiate level, there's arguably no reason why this equipment shouldn't be ubiquitous. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Bob Snyder. He is with the Jennifer Lynn Snyder Teen Heart Foundation. Jennifer Lynn Snyder Teen Heart Foundation. Bob Snyder, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Very good, guys. Good to be with you.
So tell us what your interest, what your foundation does, I should say, and how you came to be focused on this issue.
Yeah, so the foundation is focused very simply on putting the AEDs that you talk about being ubiquitous to make sure they're on fields where kids are playing. I think as a society, been great improvement, and in some cases it's the law to have them in gymnasiums and other indoor facilities where kids play, but it's outdoors where it's lacking. So that's the focus of the foundation. It has been the focus of the foundation for the better part of 15 years now, since we lost our daughter, Jenny, while she was playing soccer on a field in Glenview. And while you never know, and your statistics back that up, you never know exactly what could have happened or would have happened. Certainly her chance for survival, had there been an AED there, would have been, much greater.
And since that time, how much money have you raised and how many AEDs have you put on soccer fields, football fields, lacrosse fields?
Yeah, there are close to 30 of them now around the Chicago area. And that's where, most of our focus has been. All of the money that gets raised turns into grants. And so folks can just go to our website if they're aware of a field, maybe where their child plays at, and says, well, there really should be an AED here. There are hundreds of kids who play here each week. And so there's an application process. It's of course free. And we use the money that we raise to grant AEDs for those fields that need one.
And, we've seen some incidents like what happened with Damar Hamlin, what happened with Hank Gathers, that sort of focus people's attention on this issue, because to see somebody collapse like that is obviously jarring. I wonder if you think that, the good that will come out of the nation being fixated on what happened to Damar Hamlin is there will be a sort of renewed conversation for it, and that we've got a window here, renewed conversation about this and things that can be done to make sure that you can provide as much safety for young people as possible when they're engaged in athletic activities.
Yeah, Dan, the answer is a definitive yes. So it's really great that there was what's called in the industry a save involved, and we're not talking about a death and a what if. This is where, as Amy said, everything went right. I will add, Dan, you said you had thrown in that, to have access to one and then knowing how to use it. The great thing about these devices now is really a second or third grader can open the cabinet, open the device, and it walks you through what to do. So, fortunately, no longer are manufacturers like your friend. I'm sure he can attest to this. We're all trying to get away from that language across the cabinets that says, for emergency only, official this and official that. That doesn't help anyone. The truth is they're there to be used in many cases like a fire extinguisher. Open the cabinet and use it. And in this case, if you've got something talking to you and walking you through every step, it's not only helpful, but it's very common.
Well, that's good to know that you don't need to know CPR. You don't need to have any particular training that it's that accessible. That is good to know.
And it's in foreign language,
Yeah,
so you can press a button for Spanish if you're Spanish speaking. I mean, it's so easy. I went to Jenny's Mission. I went to your fundraiser in the spring, and you have an AED there and a dummy that you could try it out, and it's the best idea ever. I think every coach in Chicago, every parent should go through that process, and you can also get it online on YouTube too. You can learn how to do it.
Yeah, and that's right, Amy. Look, there's a cost with everything, right? And so, Dan, as you talked about, there's a window open to try to make a move. Have the AED industry make a move, and it just depends on how this resonates with the right kind of people. At some point, could there be something like federal legislation for athletic fields, as there, is now for airports and other national facilities? Sure, it will take a lot because of that cost that's involved, but hopefully there are organizations like ours and other folks in state and federal legislatures who see this as kind of a no-brainer and said, well, now we got a glimpse of it on national TV and how it works. We've got to get things out there.
What are we talking about in terms of cost? I mean, there's only so many sports fields that most of these schools have, couple three at the most, and so what are we talking about on a per unit or a scaled number? Yeah,
well, when you do it on scale, it's obviously a lot more effective for everybody. But let's just say roughly a couple of $1,000, and that includes the of course in Chicago, many of these units, because they're outdoors, they need to stay heated. So there needs to be an electrical component. So typically they're attached to maybe like the outside of the clubhouse, or sometimes on a little league field, there's a little press box or where bathrooms are, that type of thing. So, depending on the heated cabinet, it can get a little bit more expensive. But I think you're implying that, it's really nothing's too expensive for what we're talking about. And so, hopefully over the next few years, without more grave incidents, and they don't always end up well. Hank Gathers didn't end up well. Reggie Lewis didn't end up well. Right. And so hopefully, some of this will take place. Hey, one other thing that I think is kind of neat that's happening in the industry is the technology, of course, is affecting every industry and every business. There's technology now where if you're somewhere, anywhere, and you need an AED, you can get into an app and find where the closest AED is. There's also AEDs on drones where you can program in and the drone can deliver an AED. Now, this is I'm talking about stuff that's kind of coming, but it's these are the advances that are happening, and when the end result is saving a life, it all kind of makes sense.
No, Dan knows this. I love to tell people how to spend their money, and Damar Hamlin's fundraiser is up to $8.6 million. Have you reached out to him or his people to see if they would donate those funds to put more AEDs on athletic fields and
well, I'm not one to challenge other charities. I'm sure he's got a kids, some kind of kids gifting charity. But I will say this, look, I'm extraordinarily happy for DeMar. I mean, that's great. I do think, and maybe this is a little jaded coming from where I'm coming from as a parent who somebody lost a child. But, as I watch all of this unfold, what I really recognize is while it's great that DeMar had the resilience to stay alive, the real courage and the real heroism are the people who saved his lives, used the AED, performed the CPR, knew the CPR. And so that at least I know there's a sector of all of us that see a situation like this and say, okay, wonderful for the survivor, but even better for those who saved the person.
Yeah, the lowest paid people on the field that night were the first responders.
Yes, Amy, I'm sure that's true. I'm sure that's true.
He is Bob Snyder, dad of Jennifer Lynn Snyder, after whom the foundation is named, Jennifer Lynn Snyder Teen Heart Foundation. Bob Snyder, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome, guys.
Yep, thank you so much. And again, teenheartfoundation.org is where you can go to apply to get an AED on one of your fields or to make a donation. And Bob Snyder joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson here. And if you're a small business owner or make the marketing or advertising decisions for your business, then listen up.
Our annual Food for the Poor campaign is underway, and this year we're helping to raise money for children and their families in Latin America and the Caribbean who are desperate for access to food.
Millions of people, including many children, are suffering because of food insecurity. They simply don't know where they will find their next meal.
Here's how your business can be part of the solution. Become a Food for the Poor business benefactor. Just make a $2,500 tax-deductible donation to Food for the Poor, and AM 560 will give you 40 one-minute commercials to air right here on AM 560 The Answer between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Friday at no additional cost to you.
And through the generosity of your business, you'll be helping to feed more than 70 children for a year.
To take advantage of this deal, just call Anjanette Natkowski at 847-472-8951 or go to 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor. All right, MyPillow is bringing you their biggest bedding sale ever. Get the Giza Dream bed sheets for as low as $29.98 or a set of pillowcases for $9.98. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep for you. Trust me, these sheets are ridiculously comfy. So rejuvenate your bed also with a MyPillow mattress topper for as low as $99.99. They also have blankets in a variety of sizes, colors, and styles. They even have blankets for your pets. Get duvets, quilts, down comforters, body pillows. You name it, they have it. They have 111 American-made items on the website, MyPillow.com. And when you check out, be sure to use promo code Amy.
Do you suffer from peripheral neuropathy in your hands or feet? Is continual numbness, tingling, and burning pain stopping you from being with your family? Are you unable to play golf or other activities you used to enjoy? Are you concerned about falling, or have you already? Have you tried typical treatments of drugs and therapy and not gotten any better or even worse? There's now a treatment that's already helped thousands improve their neuropathy so that they can get their lives back. Gold Coast Chiropractic now has a cutting-edge natural solution with a 95% success rate to improve your neuropathy right here in Chicago and can be done in the comfort of your own home. A solution that addresses the underlying cause of neuropathy without taking endless drugs with serious side effects. Call today for a complimentary nerve screening in the Gold Coast or Wheaton to see if this treatment can get you your life back. Call 773-524-4164. That's 773-524-4164.
Oh, it seems everyone's doing it. People in their 70s, 80s, and even people in their 30s and 40s. I'm talking about Balance of Nature. Balance of Nature people are taking it because they're not getting enough fruits and veggies on their own. Ask yourself or think about it. What did you have yesterday? Did you feed your body anything nutritious? It's Maximum Nutrition, 31 whole fruits and vegetables, real food, real science, real nutrition. And people take it and they tell me they have increased energy, ability to keep doing the things that they love even as they age. So get your health back. Be proactive. Get the nutrition that your body needs. Get the nutrition that your body craves. Get Balance of Nature. Right now, free shipping and 35% off your first preferred order of fruits and veggies. And the number to call is 800-246-8800. 8751. That's 800-246-8751. And be sure to use discount code Chicago.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Dr. Willie Wilson, the son of a sharecropper. He left home at age 13 to mop floors and flip burgers, with a vision for a better future for himself and those like him. A future where he could make a difference by creating jobs, by helping the disadvantaged, by giving back. The great city of Chicago needs Dr. Willie Wilson as mayor to bring out its best.
I'm Dr. Willie Wilson, and I approve this message.
All right, shaky economy, global unrest, rising inflation. Who knows what's next? There is one thing you can count on, though, and that's the peace of mind that Turnkey Solutions can offer your business. Folks, now for a limited time, Turnkey will pay for your first month of all-in support. This all-in support package is the best and most popular plan for small businesses, and it's all-inclusive and priced, again, to save you $1,000, $3,000, in fact. So the all-in is a no-worries program that includes all new hardware, advanced firewall protection, 24/7 US-based support, and backup of all devices on that cloud up there. So the team at Turnkey are small business champions who share your same values. Focus on your business and leave the technical stuff to the pros with Turnkey. Start a conversation today by simply visiting turnkey.pro. That's turnkey.pro.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
How long does it take to tackle a home project? With Angie, you could cross it off your list before this ad is over. Just tell us what you need. Indoor or outdoor, repair or redesign, and we handle the rest, sending a top pro to get it done. You don't have to lift a finger, except to tap the screen or click the mouse. Plus, Angie is free to use. So bring us your next home project, and we'll bring it home. Download the app or go to Angie.com. That's ANGI.com to get started.
During the pandemic, they closed our churches down.
Suicide rates are exploding. Drug and alcohol use is ravaging America, and there's no church to bring the hope.
See the new documentary, Super Spreader, how a stand against religious tyranny brought hope to a country in crisis.
Christian singer and activist Sean Foyt leading what's called Let Us Worship.
Here's a move of God. It's going to change America.
Watch Super Spreader, available now at salemnow.com. salemnow.com. AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. By the way, speaking of professional football players, Peyton Hillis, formerly the Browns running back, he is off a ventilator after saving his kids from drowning when they were on vacation. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Last week, yeah. One thing, too, we didn't get to, but I wanted to make sure, because I like to give credit where credit's due. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
And I'm right there with AMLO, the president of Mexico, Manuel Lopez Obrador, who gave proper credit to Joe Biden when the three socialist stooges of North America met.
You, President Biden, you are the first president of the United States in a very long time that has not built not even 1 meter of wall. And that, we thank you for that, sir.
Oh my God.
Thank you, Mr. President,
Here's a
for
gift card.
your open borders policy.
Wow, somebody said it. Good for him.
Thank you for the lawlessness at the border, Mr. President. We appreciate you.
Oh my God, come back anytime.
Ringing endorsement. I want to save that clip for the 24 cycle.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
In our continuing effort to bring you Chicago mayoral candidates, Alderman Roderick Sawyer joins us to talk about his candidacy at 8:08.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
The Lightfoot campaign is under fire for asking CPS teachers for student volunteers. A suburban OBGYN is facing a lawsuit. The polls fall in the final seconds. WIND Chicago News Time, 8 o'clock.
Deflation in December.
I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Consumer prices actually dipped slightly last month, and a report just out showing inflation overall taming a bit more from last year's historic surge.
The Consumer Price Index declined 0.1% in December. Prices were up 6.5% in the year ending in December, down from the summer when the CPI rose more than 9%. Though inflation has been cooling in recent months, Federal Reserve members have indicated they will need to see continued declines in prices before they can pull back on raising interest rates to fight inflation.
That's Fox's Ginny Casola. We also got an unemployment update. First-time claims dropped slightly last week to 205,000. Republicans are demanding a lot more information after a second batch of classified documents found by President Biden's aides. We aren't told where. The first set was located at a Washington think tank office he used after he was vice president. GOP Congressman Troy Nehls just told Fox.
A search warrant needs to be drafted. We need to get into his offices and look to see if there are even more documents. You found one batch, you find a second batch, there could be more out there, and then let's get a special prosecutor formed.
In November, a special counsel was appointed to investigate former President Trump months after classified documents were seized from his Florida resort. It's a much better day after at airports, though there are still about 600 flight delays, a ripple effect from a government computer outage that grounded planes for hours.
FAA officials say a preliminary review points to a damaged database file that corrupted both the main system and its backup, but that there was no evidence of a cyber attack. Yesterday, there were more than 11,000 delays or cancellations in the first national grounding of domestic air travel in about 20 years.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. Brian Kohberger is due back in court today behind Idaho for a hearing in the case against the accused killer charged with murdering 4 University of Idaho students at a home in Moscow in November. America's listening to Fox News.
38 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Heavy dense fog around the area this morning and some light rain showers turning to snow by the afternoon. Mayor Lightfoot's re-election campaign facing a backlash for asking Chicago public school teachers to encourage their students to volunteer for her campaign in exchange for class credit. While the Lightfoot campaign initially denied wrongdoing, it later said it would stop contacting teachers. Also, the first televised debate involving 9 candidates running for mayor of Chicago is scheduled for next week. Prosecutors in a case involving former Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan plan to call current and former state lawmakers to testify in a related trial beginning in March. Here's AM 560's Greg Bishop.
Filing details corruption charges against 3 former ComEd officials and a close Madigan confidant in a scheme involving jobs and contracts as part of an 8-year-long effort to influence Madigan on behalf of ComEd. There's also a witness presented that's expected to testify that Madigan confidant, Michael McLean, was a double agent. Prosecutors plan to call current and former state lawmakers to testify as well, though the motion didn't provide specifics. Former House Minority Leader Jim Durkin expects more shoes to drop.
It's not going to be the last indictments coming out of this building. I think all of us know that. It may not be related to this Madigan or the red light cameras, but the thing is, it's going to continue.
The case against the 4, excluding Madigan, begins jury selection March 7th. Madigan's case won't be heard until April 1st, 2024. I'm Greg Bishop.
Union faculty at the University of Illinois Chicago staged a demonstration just days before they said they plan to go on strike. The union spokesman said they want more pay, better job security, and changes in workload. Chicago sports. Wizards beat the Bulls on a last-second three-pointer, 100-97. Northwestern lost to Rutgers in Big Ten hoops, 65-62. The news, a service of Dan and Amy 24/7, around the clock, all day, every day. Listen now, danandamy247.com. It's 8:04, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Liz Clayman, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Wall Street will be reacting today to the December Consumer Price Index. The Subway sandwich chain could be sold, and the business could be worth more than $10 billion. The Wall Street Journal says the company has retained advisors to explore a sale. Subway's global sales peaked in 2012. The business has been owned by its 2 founding families for more than 5 decades. T-Mobile could be buying Mint Mobile. Bloomberg is reporting that T-Mobile and Mint have been in discussions. Actor Ryan Reynolds is part owner of Mint. Chip maker Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing is seeing weaker demand and is predicting its revenue could drop as much as 5% in the current quarter. TSMC supplies many tech giants, including Apple. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
Dennis Prager sees a mass exit.
California's delegation to the House, based on population, declined for the first time in California history. California was once identified with freedom. This was the place you went to be free. Now, thanks to the Democratic Party and the rest of the left, this is the place you flee to be free.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
You know when you start up a motorcycle and you hear it go vroom, vroom, vroom when it takes off? I was losing that. I was losing my energy, like everybody does as they grow older. And I don't want to be tired. I don't want to look tired, and I don't want to be tired. I started using Balance of Nature about 1.5 years ago. Noticed the results immediately, and I went, oh my gosh, this works. This is what I've been missing all my life. I'm loving life actually more than I ever have. I missed my va-va voom. I got it back.
Experience the Balance of Nature difference for yourself. See why Kathy Lee Gifford and thousands of others have had life-changing success with Balance of Nature. Take advantage of our New Year's offer while you still can. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com. That's 1-800-246-8751 and get $25 off plus a free fiber and spice when you use discount code KLG.
You've heard me discuss how my everyday aches and pains were affecting my daily life before I started taking Relief Factor. You've also heard me talk to you about how my friends and family have found relief from their aches and pains with Relief Factor. Well, let me tell you about Gary from California. Gary says, I cannot thank you enough. I am 62 years old and have just started taking Relief Factor. I've never felt better and will recommend Relief Factor to all my baby boomer friends. Well, thanks for writing, Gary. 3 weeks from now, you could be doing the things you enjoy doing. Your first step to living the life you love, free from aches and pains, could just be to order the 3-week Quick Start for only $19.95. After trying Relief Factor, over 500,000 people have gone on to order more. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF to find out more about this offer. That's ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. Live your best life and feel the difference with Relief Factor.
Hello, I'm Garrett Hawkins, a family farmer raising corn and soybeans in Monroe County, Illinois. It might be hard to believe, but 96% of the farms in Illinois are owned and operated by family farmers just like me. Our job is to grow the healthiest, most affordable food around to feed my family and yours. Meet more farmers just like me at www.watchusgrow.org/corn.
A message from the Illinois Corn Marketing Board.
Hello, I'm Catherine Mincer, a family farmer raising corn and soybeans in Christian County, Illinois. It might be hard to believe, but 96% of the farms in Illinois are owned and operated by family farmers just like me. Our job is to grow the healthiest, most affordable food around to feed my family and yours. Meet more farmers just like me at www.watchusgrow.org/corn.
A message from the Illinois Corn Marketing Board.
8:08. Let's get an update on the roads in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center, a service of the daily podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer and the Sean Thompson Show. Hear both shows when you subscribe free at 560theanswer.com/podcast. Inbound Edens, 22 minutes, Lake Cook Road into the junction. Kennedy inbound, it's an hour from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Ike inbound, it's an hour 10 from 390 into the old post office. Stevenson, 45 minutes, 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan in, a little over a half hour from 95th into the Circle interchange. Tri-State jamming up northbound right at I-88. Veterans Toll, slow northbound between 63rd and the Reagan interchange. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Breezy today, Colder, foggy with spotty drizzle this morning. We'll top out at 37 with a low of 28 overnight, 38 right now. Next news coming up at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So the contretemps du jour in the mayor's race yesterday was this revelation that Mayor Triple Threat's campaign had sent an email to CPS teachers asking them to effectively recruit the kids to work for her campaign by offering the students at their respective classes and schools credit for having worked or for doing work on the campaign. And this drew a firestorm of criticism, first from the Chicago media and then, of course, her competitors piling on. But even though the email was ham-handed, it's an example of campaign staff incompetence, I don't know that it rises to the level of the moralizing that we heard starting at Winnetka talking to Wilmette up there.
Well, they got the email.
And moving into the other candidates. I mean, anytime a Chicago politician is waving around the city's ethics ordinance, you know something is amiss.
And well, this deputy campaign manager, Megan Crane is her name. She sent out this email looking for curious, enthusiastic, hardworking young people eager to help Mayor win this spring. And basically, it's 12 hours a week of work. And then they asked the teachers if the kids could get class credit if they help out.
Yeah. So, again, they did something that would be unremarkable if it had been done right. Go and ask to see if the schools want to set up externship programs for class credit for anybody who wants to volunteer for any campaign, any candidate, any campaign. It's a way for kids to get experience in electoral politics. Fine, no big deal. She did it, and her staff did it in an incompetent way, but that's the sort of incompetence that's generally punctuated her administration because she is a one-person mayor and a one-person candidate. I'm sure that's the thing that perhaps a lot of people don't realize. I understand from people that used to be relatively close to her that she just doesn't take counsel, and she doesn't take criticism in the form of counsel. People who are critical, even constructively, are not long for her inner circle. Well, and that's that these things happen when you surround yourself with sycophants rather than talented individuals.
And their spokesperson responded to WTTW not once, not twice, but 3 times. The first time saying, we're just trying to provide young people the opportunity to engage in our campaign. And then the second statement, they said that they'd cease contact with CPS employees out of an abundance of caution. And then 2 hours later, a third version saying that their CPS employees are off limits.
Right. So we're going to see the Chicago media turn this into a 3-day story, but the systemic sexual abuse of children and the possibility of massive financial fraud in CPS, that's barely a half-day story.
That's no story at all.
Yeah. Okay. I got what's important and what's not. For more on this and our continuing effort to bring you candidates for mayor of the city of Chicago, we're pleased to be joined by 6th Ward Alderman Roderick Sawyer, whose dad, of course, Gene, was a mayor of Chicago as well, the second black mayor of Chicago after Harold Washington. Roderick Sawyer, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you, and good morning to everyone.
Do you want to weigh in on this Lori Lightfoot email apocalypse, or what's your perspective?
I was listening to you, and I obviously agree with what you were saying. The problem that I had is this. I don't have access to all the CPS employees. And I don't have access to their emails. I don't even know how to get them. I don't even know how a campaign got the government emails of all these teachers, and yet you're calling them, asking them to do electioneering work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's I don't know about the legality, but it's certainly a bonehead move. It's not a bright move. It's not something that you would do. And I've been involved in politics pretty much all my life, and I've never gotten a call saying, "Hey, you know, in exchange for doing election work, I'll get some extra credit for your for your schoolwork or whatever." That's not a bright thing to do, and I'm sorry, it's just not.
It's not. So let's talk about the other thing I mentioned, that OIG report on CPS, and what your interest level is in rethinking how CPS operates.
You know, it was totally unfortunate that no one spent enough time, dealing with these things. We're talking about, sexual assault, and other, horrible things that are happening to our children. And like you said, it was short-shifted. It didn't get the attention it deserved, and we did not talk about it the way we should have. These are some serious allegations, and we should be diving into this because these are our children, and we should be doing everything possible to give them a top-flight education and a top-flight educational experience, not the dark side and the horrible things that were in that report and the things that were alleged. It was troubling, and again, I just don't think we did enough to take care of our children.
Yeah, but if you're mayor, what would you do differently? How would you stop this?
Well, one, you have to highlight it. I mean, these things like this, if they're going on under our noses, we have to put them into the light and not keep them in the dark and keep them in the back burner, if you will. I cannot do anything to stop it, from happening, but I can keep it from happening again. That's what we have to be worried about. What can we do to best serve our children? We have to keep an eye out on things like this, and if we see something like this, it has to be exposed immediately, and we have to, attack it right away. That would be the difference between, what's going on now and what I would do.
So the 6th Ward, I mean, that includes some pretty tough neighborhoods: Englewood, Auburn, Gresham, Grand Crossing. So what's the conversations? What kind of conversations do you have with teachers and school administrators at the schools in your ward about this? And
I have
generally.
Just generally, I have regular principal meetings that I talk about things that are going on in the respective schools, and almost all the schools I have are grammar schools, elementary. But principals tell me in the times that we meet on a regular basis what goes on in elementary schools. You think that I was talking about a college. I mean, we are talking about sexual assault. We're talking about drug offenses with children, with 10, 11, 12-year-olds. I leave those meetings crying half the time after we have these meetings because they're telling me things that I just did not believe that would happen in elementary schools primarily.
Well, so
organized gang violence. I mean, it's just, and we're trying to worry about them keeping up, learning at a level where if we try to get them, we have to get them in the schools and try to get them the social and emotional attention that they need before we can teach them reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Well, what about getting them in other schools? What about expansion of the Opportunity Tax Credit Scholarship Program? I mean, you're somebody who benefited from a good education. You went to Ignatius. Why shouldn't kids on the South Side in the neighborhoods that you represent be allowed, have the resources where they can access better schools?
I believe that everyone should have, and it's worth a conversation. But let's be clear: when I went to Ignatius, I cleaned blackboards.
Okay.
We didn't have the money to go to Ignatius. I had to do, I did work study.
Okay.
All right.
And very proud of it.
Bringing back
work
study.
Even better. I'm happy to have the kids work too, but in addition to working, now we're trying to provide, and we've got a state law that provides for kids the families to have the resources to make those kind of choices. Isn't that good?
Yeah. Well, it's always part of a conversation that I like to be, involved in. The problem that I think we have in Chicago, basically, is that we never talk have open discussions about things that are going on. We're always one-sided, and I'm here, 12 years on the council. I see it, and everything. Even when ordinances are introduced, they always introduce one-sided. We never talk about the opposite side. We never have real vigorous discussions like we should on the council floor. So we don't get a chance to talk about things from both perspectives, and again, that's something that needs to change.
Again, with the neighborhoods you represent, they're disproportionately impacted by violent crime, which is running wild, despite what Mayor Lightfoot has to say about it. And you,
I think that crime is running wild all over the city. I think.
Well, I agree.
I live in Grand Crossing. I live in Grand Crossing, born and raised. But when I talk to people, when I was in South Lakeview the other day, they're talking about the same thing.
Oh, I agree.
When I was on the far northwest side, they're talking about the same thing. Everybody has that anxiety about crime.
Agreed. And so why did you introduce an ordinance to cut the contract CPS had with the Chicago Police?
Again, you're talking about the CPS with public schools?
Yeah. Officers in schools.
Absolutely. You know what? And that's exactly what I was talking about. It wasn't that I was in support or against it. I wanted to have the conversation. I talk about the pros and the cons of cops in schools. We had a lot of people that had that anxiety because they had bad cops in schools. I also had people talk about how great their school resource officers are because they're very engaging and they're very helpful. So part of me bringing that to the forefront was not to take a side, but was to extend the conversation, to open it up. And as a result of that conversation, we got choice. So some people chose to opt in to have their school officers in the school, which is fine. Some opted not to have their school officers in the school, which is fine. We also, and as a result, we saved money, and it worked out where people can have that option, and they continued that conversation. That's what I wanted.
Right, but kids at Juarez are still afraid to go back, and their officers were voted out, and now Michelle Clark as well, and you had fatal shootings at both of those schools.
And you know what? And you know what? Part of democracy is going to be messy. Democracy is the worst form of government in the world, except for all others. So when things happen like that, it's going to be a little messy in its inception. People are going to make a decision, and they may change their mind. They make another decision, but again, I wanted that decision to be on the local level, not just a top-down function, but a part of a conversation, and I think that was achieved. And again, it's not going to be perfect, but it opened it up for people to make that choice.
So different, it's a big field again, which is a commentary on the popularity of the incumbent, to be sure. How do you differentiate yourself from? Let's start with who are perceived to be the top four candidates right now: Vallis, Lightfoot, Chewy, and Willie.
Again, I differentiate myself as a true Chicagoan, someone that understands that most Chicagoans want the same things. We all want safe schools. We all want safe streets. We want vibrant business districts. We want to be able to come and go without incident. We want to be able to walk our neighborhoods. That's what all Chicagoans want from all 77 neighborhoods in the city of Chicago. I live that. I'm a part of that. I grew up understanding that. So I'm not far left. I'm not far right. I'm what you would call, more of a centrist. It's just something that I believe that most Chicagoans are right there, and I think I represent the interests of the majority of Chicagoans. I think that's what differentiates me from everyone else.
What's a good example where you have sort of bucked what the conventional Democrat Party line is in the city?
That's a good question.
I'm trying to get content for that question.
Well, you said you're centrist, and so you're an independent thinker, not so much party focused. And so, give me an example where you were at odds with the majority of your party on a particular issue.
Locally, I would say, for example, with the red light camera situation, the speed camera thing, where my colleagues were voting to, make those changes, I was against it.
You were against red light cameras being installed?
Well, I was against the reduction of the speed camera limit from 10 to 6, to 6 to 10, whatever.
But you support red light cameras. You support the red light cameras.
You know, I support red light cameras in high districts that have high incidence of accidents and fatalities. I think that we should have them, and I think that, you know, they're a money grab and everywhere else and anything else. We should be looking at solely at the areas that have those high incidents of crash fatalities and be looking toward those areas for assistance. I think, if you will. Yep. I believe, for example, that you know, police officers should be doing traffic stops. That's where I am.
Okay.
You know, I really believe police officers should do. Yeah, and it has not happened in a long time. And I think that, you know, it also, you know, we've experienced some failures in policing for a long time as well because we abandoned that.
Well, what's your plan for public safety?
Public safety is obviously very important because of the anxiety people have. I believe that, you know, we are understaffed. Yeah, I believe that we are understaffed. I believe that we don't have the resources necessary to provide service to Chicagoans, because that's what we're talking about. We are a service-based business in Chicago. So when people call 911, they expect someone to respond to them. They expect an officer to come out there or someone to come out there to get their information and make sure that the offenders are captured and bound for trial. So these are things that, and I think police officers should be laser focused. I think we've done them collectively a disservice in asking the police to do everything in the world except, you know, their assigned job, which is to catch bad guys, to bound them over for trial, to make sure that our streets are safe. That should be the police officer's laser focused job. Keep them in areas where they can become familiar. You know, I believe in the geographic integrity of what we should be doing. Police officers should stay in areas, not even the beat, but in the general area, sector area, where they can start gaining some familiarity with people. They can gain that trust. I'm proud to say that I've been working on police reform for a long time. I was the lead sponsor, for example, in the ECPS, Empowering Communities for Public Safety Act, which provided our new individuals that will be running for office in this coming February 28th. I worked on that for 7 years in the administration, under 2 administrations. So I'm very proud of my work as it relates to police, but we have to do a lot more.
Do you support the Safety Act as amended and now as a subject of a Supreme Court review?
You know, I've been, you know, watching it with great interest. You know, I believe the core function of the Safety Act is what I believe in. I think the details need to, you know, have, you know, always be further worked out. I think that you can always make something better, but you can't worry about it always being perfect. You can't make the perfect the enemy of the good. So I believe that.
What is the core function?
The core function is that someone should not be penalized for being held in jail pending trial just solely because they don't have any money.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that. That part I do agree with. And I think that working in that vein, we should be staying toward that. But I do believe that people that are violent, people that are habitual offenders, people that have not showed up for trial, which is the core function of the bill, is to make sure that people attend their court hearings and their trial dates. We want to make sure that's the core function of why the Safety Act is there. But violent offenders should stay in prison. Those that are dangerous to others or dangerous to society in general should be in prison pending trial. And I think judges are the arbiters that should be making that decision.
He is Roderick Sawyer, Alderman Roderick Sawyer, 6th Ward. More information on his candidacy for mayor can be found at Sawyer4Chicago.com, Sawyer4Chicago.com. Alderman Roderick Sawyer, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-333-1750. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-333-1750. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-333-1750. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds, too. Call 800-333-1750. 800-333-1750.
Have you been feeling it? The sting of cold floors when you step off the couch or out of bed? Well, it's that time of year, and Permaseal has a permanent solution for you. Their PermaFoam insulation and crawl space encapsulation system. From now until the end of January, you'll receive 20% off your crawl space encapsulation system with PermaFoam insulation. Insulating and encapsulating your crawl space is the most effective and worthwhile way to solve your cold floor problem. An untreated crawl space can rot your floor joists, breed mold, and increase your energy costs. So save money and check out their deal and check out the encapsulation of your crawl space. To get a free estimate, call this number, 800-421-SEAL, 800-421-7325, or simply visit permaseal.net.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Florida Senator Marco Rubio sends a shot across the bow of J.P. Morgan's Jamie Dimon. We'll start there with Thomas Duesterberg from the Hudson Institute at 8:38.
But now, let's go into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, good morning. 38 degrees at 8:31. We've had some heavy, dense fog across the area, along with light rain showers. Snow could fall later this afternoon. Fallout from the systems glitch in the FAA's aviation network on Wednesday still causing hundreds of flight delays and cancellations today. Some airlines, including American, Delta, and United, say they expect operations to get back to normal later today, and they've offered to waive fare differences for some travelers who want to rebook flights. President Biden's lawyers have found a second batch of classified documents from Biden's time as vice president. Fox's Mark Meredith this morning is at the White House.
Someone familiar with the matter is confirming to Fox this NBC report that a second batch of classified documents have been found, dating back to the Obama-Biden administration. But we don't know when and where these documents were discovered. Reporters are having a hard time getting any straight answers. But congressional Republicans, they're demanding answers too. They're investigating whether or not there's political bias at the National Archives when it comes to how it handles record keeping. Lawmakers even want to interview archive officials. So far, congressional Democrats are holding off on calling for a special counsel to investigate, similar to what happened to former President Trump.
Over the summer, the former president's Mar-a-Lago estate was searched by the FBI, allegedly recovering sensitive government documents. It's part of an ongoing criminal probe. Death toll from storms drenching California now up to 19. More than 7,000 New York City nurses are expected to return to work today after 2 New York City hospitals hammered out a tentative contract deal. Mayor Lightfoot's re-election campaign facing some backlash. That after asking Chicago public school teachers to encourage their students to volunteer for her campaign in exchange for class credit. While the Lightfoot campaign initially denied wrongdoing, it later said it would stop contacting teachers. There is a first televised debate scheduled for the 9 candidates running for mayor. The forum broadcasts next week, January 19th, on ABC 7. McHenry County Sheriff Rob Tatelman is taking a stand against Illinois' new ban on assault weapons, releasing a statement saying his job is to protect rights provided in the Constitution, and that, he believes, includes the Second Amendment. You may remember the name actress Carol Cook, well known for her work on screen and stage. She has died at the age of 98. Cook's husband, Tom Troop, confirmed her death late yesterday. Cook was known for her film roles, which included appearances in The Incredible Mr. Limpet and 16 Candles, John Hughes' 1984 film where she portrayed Grandma Helen opposite Molly Ringwald. Chicago sports. Wizards beat the Bulls 100-97. Northwestern lost the Big Ten battle with Rutgers 65-62. The news service of Salem Surround. Go to surroundchicago.com today. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher says we're jumping to conclusions again.
And right away, people were taking to social media, people are dying suddenly, don't get the vaccine. They immediately linked this cardiac event to a vaccine, the COVID vaccine, without one shred of evidence that was the case.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Exercise more, lose 10 pounds. Tired of New Year's resolutions you can't keep? Here's one you can keep, saving more for retirement. If you're a small business owner, independent professional, consultant, or self-employed individual, according to the IRS, you may be able to save up to $265,000 a year pre-tax. You may think, I already have a retirement plan. I can't put away that much each year for retirement. No, you can't. Not with a traditional retirement plan, but you can with a defined benefit plan. A defined benefit plan is IRS approved and a way for high-income earners to begin to catch up on their retirement savings pre-tax. We call it a retirement accelerator. Visit yourretirementaccelerator.com to download their guide to see if you might qualify. That's yourretirementaccelerator.com. This year, make a resolution you can keep. This advertisement is for informational purposes only and should not be relied on as financial advice. Any specific recommendations are provided only after understanding your entire financial situation.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. Your business and your money are in good hands with Signature Bank. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Dan Migatz, co-owner and CFO of AM Woodland Outdoor Design in Mundelein, and a new customer of Signature Bank. We specialize in the creative design and construction of outdoor living spaces, providing our residential and commercial customers first-in-class landscaping services. Our company was founded as a one-man operation, and today has grown into a multifaceted, one-stop shop for outdoor and indoor design and contracting needs. Signature Bank was there to provide the capital needed to grow our expansion efforts. We wanted to work with a bank that understands our business and is relationship focused. Signature Bank is what a relationship bank is all about. We're excited to continue our partnership for many years to come.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
The following is a paid political announcement.
I'm Dr. Willie Wilson, and I approve this message.
Illinois' population loss was the third worst amongst U.S. states from July 2020 to July 2021. 2,400 businesses in the Chicago area will never reopen due to the COVID-19 pandemic. As mayor, Dr. Willie Wilson will work hard to restore Chicago by lowering taxes to keep people in the city, helping small businesses get back on their feet, and expanding access to infrastructure. Dr. Willie Wilson, leading Chicago to a better tomorrow.
I approve this message.
8:38. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is also a service of the AM 560 mobile app. Download the AM 560 mobile app at 560theanswer.com/mobile. Inbound Edens 23 Lake Cook Road into the junction. Kennedy inbound 71 from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Ike in just over an hour from 390 into the old post office. Northbound I-55 slows up due to an accident between the Veterans Parkway and the Veterans Memorial Toll Road. That's I-355. Dan Ryan in 25 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. DuSable Lakeshore Drive jammed up solid northbound between Marquette and 57th due to ongoing road work. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Breezy, much colder today. Foggy with spotty drizzle this morning, turning into flurries this afternoon. Already 37 outside right now, dropping to a low of 28 overnight. 37 right now. Next news coming up at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Senator Rubio, Marco Rubio from Florida, he fired off a letter to J.P. Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon, getting after him about J.P. Morgan's reported partnership with ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok, which is, of course, essentially a Chinese communist company, because there are no companies that exist, particularly at that scale, that do not fall under the purview of the Chinese Communist ruling party. He criticized their partnership with ByteDance to develop a payment infrastructure, application payment infrastructure. He wrote, assisting online companies to build out real-time payment systems, centralize banking structures, and streamline access to millions of users' financial information is no doubt lucrative. However, by partnering with ByteDance to develop a treasure trove of private data, including that of millions of Americans, J.P. Morgan Chase has effectively handed the combination to the vault to the CCP as well. Yikes. Strong words. And he continued, it's concerning enough for J.P. Morgan Chase to carry water for Beijing and falsely characterize ByteDance's mission as to inspire creativity and enrich life, quote unquote, rather than disseminate CCP propaganda and censor references to the Uyghur genocide. Even more alarming, however, is that J.P. Morgan Chase is now actively working with ByteDance to enlarge its capacity for real-time data exchange, track and trace, and to see and monitor payments in light of its gross abuses of user information. We talk a lot about what the government, what our government should or shouldn't do with respect to Chinese communist forays in every sector, including business sector. But what about what American companies are willing to do or not do when it comes to the Chinese communists? For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Thomas Duesterberg, Senior Fellow at the Hudson Institute and author of Economic Cracks in the Great Wall of China. Thomas Duesterberg, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be with you.
So what about Marco Rubio's pointed criticism at Jamie Dimon and effectively Wall Street?
Well, he's exactly right. Any partnership that would allow access to financial information of Americans, like this one apparently does, is a looming disaster, I think, for us, because the Chinese, as Senator Rubio pointed out, Chinese companies are always under the thumb of the Chinese Communist Party. If they want to extract data on those who are using the system, they can do that, and they've already done that. We've seen with TikTok, personal information on Americans who are using TikTok. So this is not a good move on the part of J.P. Morgan Chase.
Well, I mean, it isn't why. I mean, it is potentially quite lucrative, I'm sure, and so for their perspective of, specifically profit maximization, why not do it?
Well, J.P. Morgan Chase is an American company. They fall under U.S. laws. U.S. laws protect private information much more expansively than the Chinese do. So they run the risk of violating U.S. privacy laws. Furthermore, it's helping our major competitor, China, to amass data that can be used in any variety of ways, not only to learn about the spending habits and all other habits of Americans, but feed into their machines of big data, which help them develop their artificial intelligence algorithms.
Well, here's another riff from another op-ed, and I'll tell you the author in a second. You probably know, many of our listeners won't. This commentator writes, We need serious federal protections for Americans' privacy. That means clear limits on how companies can collect, use, and share highly personal data, your internet history, your personal communications, your location, your health, genetic and biometric data. It's not enough for companies to disclose what data they're collecting. Much of that data shouldn't be collected in the first place, and the protection should be even stronger for young people. This commentator is talking about American big tech companies, and he happens to be the President of the United States, Joe Biden. That's an op-ed that he wrote for the Wall Street Journal. So, I mean, I'm not comparing the perniciousness of the Chinese Communist Party to and their wholly owned subsidiaries like ByteDance to American big tech companies or the federal government here, but it seems like we have our own problem figuring out what the paradigm should be on these issues like privacy.
Yeah, we need to get on that. We certainly ought to do a better job. It's true that American digital companies are amassing this sort of data, using it for their own purposes. If you'll allow me, I want to go back to this question of artificial intelligence, because a lot of these companies, especially Google and Microsoft, have huge research operations in China on things like artificial intelligence, and a lot of the breakthroughs that these companies are achieving in these areas are done in China, and so they're shared with the Chinese. And I don't think that's a very good idea either. So it's broader than just collecting personal information. It's developing the technological tools of the future that could be used against us.
That's a good point. And so the conversation now, part of the conversation now about banning ByteDance, about banning TikTok, I should say, ByteDance being its parent company. You've seen some state governments do it on state employees' phones and so on and so forth, federal government. But is that the wrong conversation then? Whether or not to ban TikTok misses the larger point?
Well, it's part of the larger point. There are multiple reasons to ban TikTok. It's not just they're collecting personal information. There's a much simpler way to go about this, which is the rules that govern world trade, and we can argue about that, but they require a certain form of reciprocity. If our companies can't operate in China, then their companies ought not to be able to operate in the United States. So you've got that point as well, which is our companies can't operate their digital social media platforms in China. Why should TikTok be able to operate in the United States? I'm
sorry, go ahead.
I just wonder if Jamie Dimon has thought about that as well.
Yeah, it's sort of a strange thing, and I think people, myself included, sometimes have problems wrapping our minds around it, because you wrote this piece about the weakness of President Xi and his regime. It's not nearly as strong as it appears from the outside. They want to project strength, but they're captive to all these internal contradictions of central planning, just like Soviets were. However, different than back in the day when it was the Cold War, does it seem to you, it sort of seems to me, that we have American companies propping up this regime and actually allowing it to be stronger than it otherwise would be, were all those internal contradictions left to play themselves out the way they did for the Soviets.
Well, it's absolutely true. A couple examples in the financial sector, the Chinese real estate sector, which is a very, very large part of their economy, up to 30%, now depends a lot on selling bonds outside of China because they're so indebted. So companies like J.P. Morgan Chase are also helping to prop up the economy of China. There are many examples of this. There was some reporting in the paper today about Tesla. Tesla has a huge plant in Shanghai But the Chinese are apparently thinking about restricting their sales because Elon Musk also runs TikTok, and Elon Musk also
Twitter
operates SpaceX, and the Chinese are claiming that Tesla cars can be used as spy mechanisms within China. So the point here is that American companies are allowed to operate in China on Chinese terms, but when it becomes useful for the Chinese to start squeezing them, they happily do that.
Oh, sure. Right. I mean, that's... Yeah, that's how it works, right? And we don't like Elon Musk's rules with Twitter, so we're going to punish him over here with Tesla. Sure.
Well, and it's not just limited to Tesla. I mean, the financial sector, the J.P. Morgan Chases and the Goldmans and the Blackstones were supposed to be allowed to operate more or less freely in China 25 years ago. And the Chinese have opened just enough to say that, yeah, you can do certain things. But by the time those companies were allowed to operate, the Chinese had already developed pretty good, for instance, electronic payment systems. So our companies can't operate effectively there. And it's unclear to me why American companies keep thinking that there's some golden pot at the end of the rainbow in China.
I guess they they just see 1.5 billion people and they say that's a market we can't ignore. Is it as simple as that? Because people like Jamie Dimon, even though some of these other people are despicable, like Fink at BlackRock, they're not naive. They're not babes in the woods here.
They're not. No, I agree with you wholly on that one.
So what is their thinking? I mean, if they're not naive, they know they've got eyes wide open here. Then is it just we can't ignore a market of 1.5 billion people?
I think it's pretty much as simple as that. Their boards tell them that they need to be in the China game. There is probably the thought that, for instance, in the area of financial services, the Chinese have developed some good payment systems. And maybe they want to get access to those technologies, but it's in the long run, it's something of a fool's errand because the Chinese will protect their own market, and they will not allow foreign firms to prosper in the long run in their market.
And the free trader may say, and I'm inclined to be one, but there are limits. The free trader would say, "Well, wait a second. You want to start banning Chinese, Chinese communist affiliated companies from buying real estate in America or doing business in China. If you start to apply some sort of American standard to who American companies can do business with, then you're going to close off commerce to a lot of the world, not just China." My response to that would be, well, yeah, I understand the slippery slope argument, but China is unique because of its size and because of its inclinations for world domination. And so I think you can make an exception to the general, more pro-free trade rule when it comes to a expansionist power the size of China.
Well, I think we've got to do that, and we've got to be more aggressive in pushing back on China. China is dependent in a lot of ways on outside companies, and especially in the financial sector. There are things we can do to send them a stronger message than we've sent in the past, that we're not going to do business with them if they're going to be in it solely for their own benefit, and there's got to be some sort of mutual gain from this. They've got to give up this game of this dream. She calls it the China dream of world domination. So we've just got to be more aggressive in the messages we're sending to them.
He is Thomas Duesterberg, Senior Fellow at the Hudson Institute, author of Economic Cracks in the Great Wall of China. Thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Okay, my pleasure.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook. or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Have you been struggling to find an easy, safe, and secure document scanning solution for Salesforce.com, Microsoft 365, SharePoint, or OnBase by Highland? Your struggle is now over, and it's time to get your documents and operations into the 21st century with IoT Smart Connected Scanning. It's easy to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. And you don't need a degree in computing or IT to make it happen. Using QR code technology uniquely configured for your specific business, anyone can set the IoT Smart Connected Scanning device up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money and valuable time. Remote employees can even capture documents and send them safely and seamlessly. Organize documents efficiently and securely with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. To see a demo or to order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
So, how's it going with your New Year's resolutions? Not so great? Are you truly committed to trying something new, or was it all just talk? Things that seem so doable on New Year's Eve are getting tougher, aren't they? Here's the secret: developing a new routine. Make your New Year's resolutions part of your everyday routine, that is. Find a time that works for you. Say yes to exercise and stick to it. The pounds will come off. Same goes for your blood pressure. If it's too high, check out my friends at 120 Life. 120 Life is the natural juice drink that helps lower your blood pressure without the side effects of pills. One tiny 8-ounce bottle is all it takes as part of your new daily routine. Just say, I will drink 120 Life every day. The rest just happens. Go to 120life.com, that's 120life.com, and order their 2-week trial pack. Order now and enjoy their risk-free money-back guarantee. Use the coupon code DAN at checkout to save 10%. 120 Life, a resolution in a bottle. We need more stuff like this.
For an experience at the dentist that's more like going to a spa, meet Dr. Luma at North Shore Dental Group. Preventative and cosmetic dentistry for the entire family.
Hi, I'm Dr. Luma. I welcome you to come to North Shore Dental Group and let us show you what it's like to enjoy going to the dentist. You'll be greeted at reception by our friendly staff and will be comfortable not only in our waiting rooms, but in our luxurious and comfortable private rooms. We use all state-of-the-art equipment, and you can enjoy TV while we're working and just relax. We use laser dentistry when needed for less pain. You'll have a faster recovery time and quicker healing. We welcome you to have an amazing experience at the dentist.
Dr. Luma is accepting new patients now, and for a limited time, new patient exams with full mouth x-rays are only $59.99. Call 847-292-8200 or Google Dr. Luma. That's L-U-M-A. North Shore Dental Group. A lifetime of healthy smiles.
If I could be you.
And you could be me for just 1 hour.
If you could find a way
to get inside each other's mind.
Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out. And for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Some people get COVID and thought, well, that wasn't such a big deal. But you can get COVID again, and next time it could be worse, especially for those 50 and older, or with a chronic condition like heart disease or diabetes. But with an updated vaccine, you have better protection from COVID's worst outcomes, and that's a big deal. Find updated COVID vaccines near you at vaccines.gov. We can do this. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right. We're matchmakers here at AM 560. The Answer. One of our listeners, David, called in and said, Danny is the perfect woman for you. She's photogenic. She's even prettier in person, though. 5'7", 120 pounds. Wickedly intelligent.
I'm also 5'7", 120.
Wickedly intelligent, just like you. Funny, but a lefty. Ha, 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 I kid. She puts the red in red. I'm not going to tell you her name here, but she lives in Leafy Lake Forest, and I think it's a match made in heaven.
All right. I'll send you an easy 120-question survey that she needs to complete, and then just let her know to expect her score and in about 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay,
it's about
great.
the normal turnaround time.
All right. Just try to help out. All right. Thanks to Justin Kosick, our technical producer, and Quinn McCarthy, our executive producer. We're back here bright and early tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Go have yourselves a glorious day. Now here is Mike Scott.
The Lightfoot campaign under fire for asking CPS teachers for student volunteers. The polls fall in the final seconds, and WIND Chicago News Time is 9 o'clock.
Prices did not inflate in December. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. They actually dropped 0.1% last month. Year over year, the consumer price increase shrank to 6.5%, continuing to come down from a historic surge, but not all costs dropped last month. Food prices rose, driven up by a 60% jump year over year for eggs.
The average cost for a carton of eggs hitting $3.59 across the country, $7.37 in California for a dozen of cage-free eggs. Experts say the main reason for expensive eggs is the avian bird flu. It's impacted nearly every state,